Real. What's up, people? What's up, Chris? Welcome back, Chris. Welcome back. Hazy Vocal Local. Just in time for Detroit Red Wings playing Calgary Flames. Listen, we'll get to... I don't know. It seems like... actually, you know what? Maybe I should. I think we should take the time to enjoy everything that we can going on in Detroit, because doesn't look like the state of Michigan is going to be employed very much longer. Canada, I should have the link saved and not just the screenshot for the retaliatory tariffs that Canada's putting up on our already insane 25% tariffs, which is going to hurt employment anyway. Canada said it has detailed a retaliation plan to the U.S. tariffs that will seek to hurt Republican states the most. Based. What country centrifuges? Electrical control boards, electronic. I don't know. I feel like reaction. What country exports a ton of fucking chemicals? I don't know. No kidding. I have a brother who works at assembly line of Ford. Yeah, I have to like get sources on this, so like in debates I can like immediately bang 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 bang. But literally most of trade with Canada and Mexico is intermediate goods. You know, fucking tariffs. Yeah, is goods that you know cross the border to be used in another good, and that good, which is a part for another good, may itself have parts that cross the border. Like there's so many many intermediate goods. And also there's the issue, by the way, okay, if Donald Trump came out and said, if Donald Trump in 2020 or whatever came out and said, we don't need the Keystone XL pipeline because we need to drill our own oil and we need to stop sending money to Canada, everyone would support it. Everyone would support that. All his supporters would support canceling the Keystone XL pipeline. He's tariffing, I mean, oil, to be fair, is tariffed at only 10%, right? And we'll see what the retaliation is from Canada, because at one point Canada said they were just gonna fucking stop exporting oil and uranium to us. We'll see what exactly actually happens, but Jesus, just becomes a way of punishing red states that it's based. Yeah, exactly. Thank God. All hail Trudeau. Okay, my favorite leader, punishing the red states, the only states that are actually responsible. I don't think it's Denmark, but I know Denmark, because Denmark would have like more pharmaceutical stuff, but I don't know. I just see centrifuges. Okay. Like Czechia or something? Okay. Hungary? What's right below Hungary? Bulgaria? Bulgaria is right below Hungary, right? Oh my God, fucking kill me. Romania? Oh my God, dude, what fucking, this is Slovenia? Oh my God. Albania? Oh fuck. Macedonia? Fuck this. I don't care about no Macedonia, man. Jesus. This gotta be, I don't even think it's Saudi Arabia. I don't know, UAE. Venezuela? What's up, Great Size Enjoy? No. Oh, some like African nation. I don't know. Fucking Algeria. Okay, what's right under Algeria? Chad? Or I guess it's further down than Chad would be. But I don't think it would be the DRC because they would have more like minerals too. Angola. Fuck me. Right about Cameroon. Fuck. What's it? Central African Republic? Oh my god, I'm so bad. Equatorial Guinea. Fuck me. Okay. As of today, glorious leader Donald Trump has in fact imposed his 25% tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and 10% on China, and 10% on energy from Canada. Sure, COVID, okay, sure. Yeah, I bet, buddy. Yeah, I knew it too. I just need to do a sanity check, okay? I just need
anything China, Canada, and Mexico.
Some nerd, where's your dress?
Can do
$10. That's where it is.
To forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow.
No, not right now, no.
Not a negotiation.
You were born for this moment, yeah.
No, it's not, no, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl.
President is the...
So it's not a negotiation thing, according to him, although maybe he's lying there or something. This guy, these people never apologize.
Average debate enjoyer, you go ahead and kick it off. Yeah.
All right, my name's Tyler. I'm here.
Like 13D chess.
You can completely implement them smartly. I'm Pentuple. Let's go.
Let's just let's hear what our favorite guy Pentuple says here.
Oh, go tariffs. Go Trump. He's gonna implement them smartly. He's not just gonna throw a dart at a dartboard. It's gonna be done smart. They're on the table. It's the way that every country deals with foreign trade. Some are implemented to completely kick them out the market so that we can.
So, what? They're gonna be implemented smartly. I guess smartly is universal tariffs on Canada and Mexico and China. I guess we're
revive American manufacturing. Some of it's just to open the market so we can start competing again. This is all done intelligently and not with a blindfold. So.
Intelligently, not with a blindfold. Really,
to use
really,
them
buddy.
Effectively for American long-term economic success. Let's go.
Wow, incredible statement there. He said similar things here. Or I might have to search through this video a bit. But we're like, it's not gonna be universal. What do you mean, bro? He's just. Why is this tagged with abortion debate? There's no abortion debate in this. Agree on the plan yet? Like they said that they wanted to do. Fuck, I remember this girl saying like, oh, it's not gonna be 150% or 25% like he said. It's gonna be strategic and like, dog.
Clearly collect tariff revenue, which will alleviate the burden on the taxpayer. It'll also allow for very strategic and intentional moves, making sure that as we
this is a strategic and intentional move,
transition
buddy.
into a more tariff-based system, we maintain those positive relationships with our allies. Like you said, these tariffs
We're trying to maintain positive relationships with our allies with this one.
have to be very carefully and individually implemented, and that's what the ERS would be able to professionally
Carefully and individually implemented, huh?
handle. If we have an IRS for internal revenue, I think it only makes sense.
Would have kind of sucked if you did all this tariff research. I am, to be clear, I am very glad that Trump did this. I mean, one, because of that reason. Two, because I'm sure it'll lead to like more debates and I can shit on people easily. But 3, also, just because voters are not going to be happy. There are a lot of voters out there. Probably ain't going to be happy, brother. Probably not.
Sense that as we transition
The United States is a failed state, real. We're going to do all 250 countries, but one at a time. Well, it just doesn't even... When I hear strategic tariff, like is the cope... I wonder what his scope is going to be. Is his scope going to be actually this is strategic because it's not on the entire world? It's just on our, like, 2 largest trading partners in Canada, and Canada is... I don't know where Canada is on the list, but probably on the top 10. Trump has admitted it's going to be painful to consumer. Well, yeah, obviously, it's going to be painful to. We have, again, literally half a trade between like Canada and Mexico in the U.S. is intermediate goods, so it's going to be painful for businesses too. It just operates as a tax on business for intermediate goods, like. And then there's the whole oil issue. Technically, the U.S. is energy independent, but like the way our industry works, like a lot of the oil that we get from Texas or whatever, we like just export, is my understanding, and like we don't have the refineries here to make it. To refine it properly because our comparative advantage, guys, that's great, guys, that's crazy that sometimes countries can have a comparative advantage in exporting a good and the other one in refining that good, and then they buy it back. What, dude? That's great. What? And it helps both people. What? Trump's biggest thing was this North American. I know that's another thing is that he made an agreement with the USMCA. Can he build refineries fast if he need? I don't know how fast they can be built, but he might be able to. Since his re-election, President Trump has repeatedly threatened to impose big tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. And in recent days, he's made it clear, yes, he really means all imports. We don't need them to make our cars. We make a lot of them. We don't need the lumber because we have our own forest. He told Davos attendees last week, we don't need the oil and gas. We have more than anybody. Also, me after criticizing Biden for not drilling enough for the last 4 years. Fire, dude, fire. The president is mistaken that the American fossil fuel industry, at least in its current structure, even though the United States is the world's #1 producer of oil and natural gas, the industry really it does depend on oil imported from its neighbors, especially Canada. If Trump makes good on his Jesus fucking Christ.
I made an ungodly amount of money this week. One of my business partners got a massive investment thanks to Trump domestic policy. I'm sharing that with you now. Say thank you to Trump. You just got cut of this too, lol.
I made an ungodly amount of money this week.
Why does
one of my business partners got a massive investment thanks to Trump's domestic policy? I'm sharing that with you now. Say thank you to Trump. You just got cut of this too, lol.
Thank you, Donald J. Trump, for making me wear the stupid fucking dress. Hold on, give me a second. I want to fix the alerts, but thank you, Trump, for making America. Thank you, Trump, for making non-fun gay. Invest in a stock portfolio. I don't really have enough money to like invest seriously. Was it Trump or Musk? Also, just so we're clear, I need to finish writing that fucking balance of payments article. Oh. Technically, okay, foreign investment. All right, you just said investment, right? I guess not foreign investment, but increases the trade deficit. Okay, it increases the current account deficit. Elon Musk was an illegal immigrant. Should be deported immediately. Real. Truth. I think it's I don't know how long ago was Elon Musk an illegal immigrant? I don't know the full story. I actually don't know for sure if he even was one, but I thought he was one, at least, like in the 90s or whatever. Trump economy's advisor is still Peter Navarro, and probably his treasury pick. Why don't you research their positions a bit? I have a little bit. I'm familiar with Mr. Imports Deduct from GDP, Peter Navarro. I'm familiar with Steve Bessett and the treasury pick. I thought the Steve Bessett guy or whatever is the treasury guy. I think Peter Navarro is. I don't remember what position he's taking. But it's one of his advisors. And then who's the other guy? The chief economic advisor. Fuck, I don't know. But that guy since Stephen Myron, I think. I think that's the one that has, I haven't read it, but he has like a 40-page thing that's like tariffs are good actually, and it's from what I've heard about it from Krugman, it's not very coherent. I know all the Trump administration people seem to have this weird position where tariffs are actually free for consumers because the dollar is going to appreciate and offset the tariff for the most part, if not literally completely. And then we also have and then they all also want to weaken the dollar so we export more. It doesn't really make sense. Nobody wants to watch you sleep on stream. I was not intending to sleep on stream today, but okay. I've only done it. I only did that once for the subathon, at least once. I think technically I did it when I was really young. I had a sleep stream once, but it didn't work out. Didn't get donations like I was expecting. But when I was 11 years old, I think I just saw someone make a lot of money in a sleep stream and was like, I need to do that. But if Trump makes good on his threats to tariff oil imports from Canada and Mexico, then he will cost the American oil and gas industry tens of billions of dollars while causing gasoline prices to rise across much of the country. That's because not all petroleum is created equal. The type of crude that oozes out of wells in Alberta and Saskatchewan is not identical to what's extracted by frackers in Texas and Oklahoma, but the types of petroleum now produced in Canada and America pair especially well together, meaning that if the price of Canadian oil goes up, then American refineries as well as American consumers will pay the price. That got at the president's ability to fulfill one of his core promises. In his inaugural address, Trump promised to rapidly bring down costs and prices, in part by fighting escalating energy costs. Levying tariffs on Canadian oil imports would likely raise energy prices. What? Everyone's guest viewers will asleep. Yeah, I can tell when you were sleeping awake. It was a woman. Yeah. Okay. Wish I was Amaranth. Wish I was Amaranth. But it could have more complicated environmental effects. Western Canadian petroleum has a higher carbon intensity than other crude oils, and American climate activists fought last decade to keep it from entering the United States. Trump counterintuitively could succeed more thoroughly than what they did. And again, the fucking Keystone XL pipeline, which I heard, which for the last 4 fucking years, I mean, I wasn't streaming before, but the entire time I've been streaming, they're like, what about Biden canceling the Keystone pipeline? If Trump canceled the Keystone XL pipeline and said, we don't need to rely on Canadian oil and we need to stop giving money from Canada because we need to drill our own oil, everyone would fall in line behind him. Okay? Kill me. They're globalists, but only when it's useful for them to be globalists, I guess. I understand why you have to know a little bit of chemistry and a bit of history too. Brief digression. We often talk about oil as a homogeneous and fungible commodity, but it's not really true. In reality, oil and natural gas usually come out of the ground as a slurry of hydrocarbons. A hydrocarbon is a chain of hydrogen and carbon atoms bonded together. Sometimes these chains are relatively short, as in methane, the major component of natural gas, and sometimes they're longer, as in octane, a liquid and major component of gasoline. As the number of carbon atoms keeps growing, the substance starts to get waxier until the chains get absolutely enormous and become kind of a molecule you find in coal. Nitrogen, oxygen, and sulfur atoms are sometimes jammed into hydrocarbon chains as well, too. Ever think of what you'd look like as a woman? I mean, this is not a. I feel like we have a decent answer to this. I don't think about it. I feel like you're trying to imply something here. I do not often think about this. In other words, all fossil fuels exist on a spectrum, and crude oil, a melange of different hydrocarbons at different lengths and properties, occupies the measly middle. These properties can be varied based on how and why in the past crude field formed. Petroleum engineers classify it along two axes. I'm not implying anything. I just feel like, okay, if we're not applying anything, I mean, obviously, like, literally everyone has, like, thought about what they would look like as opposite gender. I don't often think about it, though. Its weight when oil has more short-chain hydrocarbons, it flows more easily, and petroleum engineers talk about it as being light. When oil has more long-chain hydrocarbons and is more viscous, they say that it's heavy. Its sulfur content. Some hydrocarbon chains contain sulfur atoms mixed in with the hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen, but sulfur is generally a bad thing in oil. It produces toxic and corrosive byproducts when refined, and burning sulfur-heavy fuels leads to acid rain. Engineers say that the sulfuric-rich crude is sour, while sulfur-light crude is sweet. American fracking wells tend to produce light, sweet crude. The oil from Alberta is heavy and sour. Normally, heavy and sour oil trades at a discount compared to light and sweet oil. That's because the highest volume products that come out of the refinery, gasoline or jet fuel, for instance, are beta short hydrocarbons, not long ones. Light, sweet crudes are closer to the finished product and thus require less refining. You're handsome, dude. I was just wondering if you'd translate over. Sure, buddy. Yet heavy sour crudes are crucial to the U.S. oil industry anyway. American refineries use heavy crude to bring down their input costs for refined products such as gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. Why? That's where the history comes in. North America is an integrated energy system. Nearly 2 decades ago, as oil prices reached painful highs as global demand outstripped supply, many refiners across the United States began to invest in technologies that would let them break down heavier sour petroleum into something more commercially viable. Trump has admitted that he's going to allow Israel to restart operations in Gaza and they would not be sanctioning them in the case. Yeah, I know, that's insane. Gorps and I might actually find some agreement there. Okay, we'll see. They build cooking refineries, expensive pieces of equipment. They use extreme heat to break down hydrocarbon chains into shorter ones. The cost of such a refinery can exceed $10 billion. Many were purpose-built for breaking down sludgy, sour oil coming from Canada. In the early 2010s, the fracking revolution turned the United States into oil drilling superpowers. Those cooking refineries remained important. They helped stretch the value out of the light, tight, I can't fucking speak. Crude coming out of fracking wells. Roy Johnson, an oil market analyst and the author of Commodity Context newsletter, told me last week. It does not make sense to use cooking refineries on oil from fracking wells because that oil is already largely composed of short-chain hydrocarbons. But by breaking down Canadian oil and cooking, am I pronouncing this correct? Let's say refineries, whatever. And blending with American oil, the industry can make a wider blend of producers at a lower cost. Are you opposed to fracking? I have no strong opinion of fracking. I mean, like, I do think climate change is a thing. I want to move towards green energy. I don't necessarily know if the most effective way to do that is ban fracking. I'm in support of fracking, but only if it's in Gaza. I think that was part. I don't think it's fracking because I think it was like offshore drilling or something. I think part of Trump's peace fucking plan was, which may not necessarily be. This might not be the worst part of Trump. This is not the worst part of Trump's peace plan that he had. for Gaza was like, or for Israel Palestine, and his last term was like, oh, we're gonna give Gaza. I think he gave them some of the Negev desert and like some weird panhandle to give them access to oil, and I think he said he's gonna or they're gonna do offshore drilling too, which, you know, there's a world in which that works. Okay, if we have the Gaza Sovereign Wealth Fund, okay, that would be based. Yeah. Heavy crude's cheaper, and they want to refine it into more valuable end products, Johnson said at a separate conversation recorded this week on Heatmap's Shift Key podcast. And so because of this, to just run light crude through that, you would instantly render economically worthless all the very, very expensive equipment. Many American refineries, especially those in the Midwest, are now tuned specifically to the process of light fracking oil and heavy Canadian sludge together, he said. What this means is that in practice, the United States exports it as a finished product, much of the crude oil that it imports from Canada. Under the current situation, U.S. earns more money selling refined products made from Canadian oil than it spends importing raw petroleum from Canada. Damn. Tariffs will collapse the price relationship that allows for that mutually beneficial situation to persist. It will boost the cost of Canadian oil by at least $5 a barrel on each side of the border, raising pump prices by about 13 cents in Midwest, Johnson told me. That may not sound so bad for consumers, but it would be terrible for refiners. The total effect of Trump's actions so far is to nuke the economies of U.S. refineries. It's truly magnificent, he said. You couldn't create a better scenario to destroy the economics of U.S. refineries. If U.S. oil companies lose access to cheap Canadian oil, they will struggle to replace it. That's because the next best place to get heavy sour crude is Mexico, and Mexican imports too will likely face 25% tariffs under most scenarios where Canada is levied. The next places to go to get heavy sour crude are Venezuela, where the Trump administration wants to tighten sanctions, and Colombia, where the Trump administration imposed tariffs last weekend. One reason Canadian oil is so cheap in the United States is that companies have invested billions in integrating the two countries' oil infrastructure. A network of pipelines and storage tanks bring millions of barrels of oil from Canada down to the U.S. Gulf Coast every day. The countries, and especially their fossil fuels industries, are interdependent. Meanwhile, only one pipeline system, the Trans Mountain Pipeline, connects Alberta's oil fields to the Pacific coast. If you begin to play out how each country might react to a tariff, Johnson said, you get a completely absurd scenario discussions. Johnson said, the result is everyone would be poorer in that scenario. What? Trade is good and not trading makes both sides poor. What? Insanity. Not other than the U.S. oil industry itself has opposed to tariffs. We import a lot of oil from both Mexico and Canada, and we refine it in the most sophisticated refineries in the world. Mike Summers, the CEO of American Petroleum Institute, said at an event in Washington last week. We're going to continue working with the Trump administration on this so that they understand how important it is that we continue these trade relations. It is funny to me that, it depends on the goal of the tariff, but like a lot of times companies want their shit to be tariffed, like the final goods they make to be tariffed, obviously not the intermediate things, because it offers them a big benefit, right? You're reducing the foreign competition that they have to compete with. You're guaranteeing them, I don't want to say monopoly, a more market power in the U.S. and they can charge higher prices now. Ordinarily, like, companies lobby for this. Like, U.S. sugar companies lobby to get sugar tariffs in the U.S. successfully. We have sugar tariffs and we have like import quotas and stuff. Which keeps the price of sugar high in the U.S. so all these sugar companies can make a ton of money. You know that your tariffs are real fucked up when almost no businesses want them. Because you're tariffing, again, so goddamn many intermediate goods. On Monday, the Wall Street Journal reported that some of Trump's aides are eager to hit Canada and Mexico with tariffs this weekend, even though the president has yet to reopen talks or even described its demands for a reworked U.S. Mexico-Canada free trade agreement. Canada and Mexican officials have said that they are not sure what Trump actually wants in the talks. What's up, Nurhan? Welcome to the stream. One of the ironies of this fracas is that the tariffs would have a more uncertain environmental effect. Western Canadian crude is unusually carbon intensive to extract and refine. If prices rose or Canadian officials responded to tariffs by shutting down production, then Trump could accidentally, if marginally, decrease carbon emissions. American refineries might also respond to tariffs by importing heavy sour crude from abroad, essentially just shifting production around the planet. Still, it remains ridiculous that Trump, who has spent his first days in office in the White House attacking a Green New Deal agenda that never actually passed Congress, might succeed in raising the cost of oil consumption and production in the U.S., where a decade of climate activism has largely failed. Perhaps that's why many still doubt what happened. It happened on Wednesday morning. President Claudia... I need to get PPG to tell me how to pronounce this. In Mexico, said that she did not think Trump would ultimately impose sanctions on our country. And even within the oil industry, tariffs on Canadian oil seem unthinkable. A 25% tariff is it's 10%. He little exemption, okay? Jesus loves you. He died on the cross for your sins. Believe in Jesus and you will not die, but have everlasting lives. Real. Well, you know what? I was watching. I heard this interesting. Wait, real quick. Let me finish this. Trump's likely energy secretary, Chris Wright, is CEO of Liberty Energy, an oilfield services company. A lot of people, I'm hearing the Canadian Insider saying maybe we should try to speak with the people around Trump, maybe Wright or Trump's energy czar, Doug Burgum, to understand what's happening. But Trump has already made demands that strike the North American oil industry is bizarre. At the same Davos meeting where he said the United States didn't need Canadian oil, Trump demanded that OPEC and Saudi Arabia cut global oil prices so that global interest rates could fall. Such a move would cut profits for the American oil industry while hampering Trump's goals of increasing U.S. oil production. This is also, I might do a, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm bad at pronouncing English words. I saw some charts about this. Like, it's just, like oil companies just don't have a big incentive to invest in finding new oil fields because oil prices are just nowhere near high enough to do that, and there's not estimated to be that much more future demand for oil, right? Like, we're moving away from oil, so future oil demand is falling. The expectations of future oil demand is falling, and in order to finance like investing and trying to make new drilling shit to drill more than we're already drilling, which we're drilling quite a bit, you would have to, maybe this is just a way to raise the price of oil a lot. Although, again, but you're hurting these U.S. refineries still, regardless. Okay. I don't know that anyone has a great sense of where Trump's true philosophical anchor is, he said, other than we're now getting a clear picture that he views any and all trade deficits as a sin unto themselves. Real. Oh, kill me. I was, look at the cat, by the way. Idiot. I was watching, I don't watch Majesty of Reason that much, but Majesty of Reason is like a, oh, he's right here, like atheist channel dude. It wasn't, I don't know, maybe it was an old video, but he had like a new objections to the Kalam still hold or whatever. I guess my friends are playing Raft. I have Raft open in the background. I don't want to open it because I'm probably dead, and if I like click any button, it'll wake me up and I'll be alive again, and then I'll have to kill myself again so I can just AFK and not have to worry about anything. But what was I gonna say? Oh, he made an interesting argument I've never heard before, and William Lane Craig didn't really respond to it. That I mean, the future is actually an actually infinite, or like, I think that he phrased it as like the set of future years is actually infinite. I don't know if I'm going to remember the former like syllogism, but like a lot of times like Christians will say like, oh, we know the universe had to begin to exist, or had to have began to exist because actual infinities are impossible, and if the universe had an eternal past or whatever, that would be a actual infinity. Whereas, you know, eternity in the future, you know, be it the future universe or in heaven, which is supposed to be an eternity, or hell is supposed to be an eternity, right? These are just potential infinites because, you know, it keeps counting up. It keeps counting up until it approaches infinity or whatever. That's a potential infinite, not an actual infinite. But I like the point Majesty Reason made, which seems intuitive. It seems really good to me. Maybe there's more solid objections to it than what Craig said. It's like in order for something to be a potential infinite, Gorps is here. It has to, like, the number of things in a set has to continue like increasing, and that doesn't happen with the set of future years. There's just an infinite number of future years, and that doesn't like increase over time. What's up?
What's up? I was about to message you, see if you're ready.
Yeah, I guess.
You guess? You ready to lose?
Absolutely. By the way, I'm setting up my stream real quick, but if if I was able to get you a debate, okay, with Destiny's kid, Nathan, I'm curious, what do you
About what?
About Israel Palestine? Have you not seen Destiny's kid constantly like shit posts on Twitter about this?
I have never seen shit from Destiny's kid.
Understandable.
I'm not in the Destiny sphere. I don't tend to associate with a guy who does revenge porn.
I don't think his kid's done it yet. Okay, he'll get there, but we'll see.
Yeah, he'll probably get there. I mean, sure, why not? I'm not gonna turn down a debate of this topic. So I do need to ask, why the fuck are you in a maid outfit?
Oh yeah, I honestly forgot about that. I have it set up as a like donation instead. If people donate $20, I'll put the fucking dress on. So that's why we have this. I'm broke. Yeah.
Just be a better capitalist.
Hey, listen, I am a capitalist. Okay, this is what capitalism is. This is the beauty of capitalism. I'm willing to voluntarily put my.
I just said be a better one.
All right. Well, I guess how formal a thing do you want this to be? I don't have a solid plan or anything.
It's not like we have a moderator or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just talking. I'm hoping that you have finally come to a better opinion than you had last time we talked about this.
Accurate. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I would have actually read more. Trump distracted me with tariffs. I guess I'll tell you the.
It's gonna be great for America.
Kill me, dog. I guess here's still generally how I view the conflict. This has not changed that much, and you can tell me how you view it and like what objections you have. I think we have Israel I'll start with, I think we have Hamas who does purposefully target civilians. I think that is, whatever the motive is behind it, I think that is how they conduct themselves in war. And I think we have Israel who, when they do kill civilians, is primarily incidentally killing them whilst defending themselves from Hamas, right? So I guess there are a few things that would make me not believe Israel is committing genocide or not doing, I guess, substantially indiscriminate attacks. I'm not saying there aren't any cases of indiscriminate attacks or anything like that, but I guess we have the first is just a measure called relative risk. It's basically the per capita version of the civilian to combatant ratio. That seems to be relatively high in Israel for this operation, higher than it is in genocides. Typically, we see a relative risk of like 4 or less in genocides, which is which basically means if you're a militant, you're 4 times more likely to die than a civilian. In this war, it's like 20. It was higher in previous Israeli operations. It was insanely high in like Kaslet and Protective Edge. So that'd be one thing that would make me not think it's necessarily genocide. Another thing is the steps that they take to warn civilians. They have phone banks, they have leaflets, they have, I believe, even an app and like a map that tells Palestinian civilians to evacuate when they're doing operations in these places. And I think another thing is although I don't think Israel's been perfect, certainly makes me think that they're not necessarily committing genocide, would be the establishment of like the humanitarian aid zone, to say that we are going to have their words, safer place, because they have still attacked it, whereas Palestinian civilians can go and we can try to get aid into this area. You'll know the name of it, the beach or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. I guess like those 3 things would make me, would make me sort of not believe Israel is committing any type of genocide. But
Okay. We're gonna kind of start and work backwards here. So you mentioned the warning of civilians about like strikes as they're about to happen.
sure.
So there's a lot to unpack here. We can start with the fact that on October 9th, hold on, let me see if I can remember his name. I don't have it able to pull up quickly because I didn't.
Are we gonna quote like the complete siege thing or something like that? Or are we?
Well, I'm gonna quote it was either the same guy or a guy one level below the complete siege guy. He had said that the times of knock bombs and leaflets are behind us, and we will go all out, and basically said that they don't deserve those things. Now, I will say that sometimes they still occurred after this statement was made. Like, they didn't completely stop. However, they did happen less often as in previous conflicts. We also have to make note. What?
So I would say that, to me, that's expected because this is a full-scale war, that it would happen like less often, because warnings probably aren't as feasible in a full-scale war as they are in like the smaller scale conflicts that we saw in like Kaslet and Protective Edge. And also, I'm not a fan of knock bombing. I think the roof knocks things, they're probably not an effective warning, but regardless.
I would agree with you. Okay. But so warnings happen less often. You agree with that? Yeah. One thing that was constantly talked about by other people, and you did mention it, so I'm going to put it on you, is the online warning system. There is, you are correct, there at least was, I don't know if it's still up, a website that Gazans could go to and see which direct, like, little squares in a grid were supposed to be evacuated and were unsafe for people to be in. Problem being, prior to that, they cut off the internet, they cut service lines, and most Palestinians had no access to a phone or a computer, and if they did, that didn't have service. The people that had service were people that were funded by outside sources to have eSIMs.
Sure.
So
I guess
those warnings don't really go anywhere.
I mean, that's why they also have phone banks and flyers and all these things. I think they have speakers as well. I think they airdrop. I think they airdrop speakers. They're a fun one, oh boy. But also, I'm not even sure. I'm not sure how long.
Wait. The flyer showed you which road to evacuate on, and then they bombed those roads. There was one instance in Khan Yunis where they issued new flyers and they dropped them, and 5 minutes later started bombing the main roads that everybody was trying to evacuate through.
I mean, are they directly bombing the road? I mean, it also seems like that we have evidence that like we have, I think the IDF have published like radio calls of like their soldiers that are at these roads, like being attacked by, saying that they are under like RPG fire. Like it
said, evacuate on this road, and then within 5 minutes, the road was being bombed.
The road itself, with no presence of militants, or
2 very publicized times.
With no is it what is does Israel claim any presence of militants, or are they?
Israel doesn't address it.
They've never addressed it. Wait, but
they
I
don't
have
effectively address it.
effectively address it. Okay. I mean, I don't know this specific instance, so I don't know if like what I have is like related to this specific instance. But like when I was going through some of the claims that Israel's made, like one of them, they published like a radio call between soldiers and their commander saying that like they were guarding the protected route and they came under like RPG fire. I guess I just don't think it's unlikely that Hamas like operates near these areas, or other militants as well operate near these areas, especially considering Hamas told people in the north not to flee. I don't think Hamas wanted people to flee at all. Like,
it doesn't matter. They didn't stop people from fleeing, first of all. But even if they didn't want to, many Gazans didn't want to flee because they know the history of Israel. But that's kind of a separate story from what I'm trying to talk to you about right now.
Sure.
Let's say, theoretically, you're not correct, but let's say theoretically we're correct. Let's say that Hamas was operating at some point in this road. Does that justify bombing a caravan of evacuating civilians?
It depends. I mean, there could be a case where that would be lawful under proportionality, right?
I'm not talking
it would
about
depend
lawful.
on the
like come on. Lawful and like is it actually right are two very different things. Do you think it's actually justified? It
would depend on the exact numbers, obviously, but I could see a case where it could be, obviously, sure.
Like what?
Like if
you
they
have
were
Hamas operating somewhere on this evacuation route, and then instead of bombing the Hamas, you bomb the caravan that are just leaving their houses to go evacuate after being told to evacuate on this road.
Well, I'm presuming that Israel is trying to bomb Hamas, right? And they're trying to bomb a lawful target, and then any civilians killed or this caravan killed would be incidental damage to that. That's what it seems like we're presupposing different.
That's your opinion. Any civilians killed would be fine because they were trying to bomb Hamas.
Not necessarily. And again, if the attack is lawfully directed at a militant or at a group of militants.
About lawful. I'm asking your opinion. I'm talking about your own morality here.
Okay, if the attack is directed at a militant or a group of militants, I would say it is acceptable to kill some civilians as collateral damage. It would depend on the number would depend on on a lot of stuff. But
so can I give you another example?
Sure.
So we have 5 guys. They go into a bank. They take everybody inside the bank hostage. Okay? Is it justifiable to bomb the bank and the 3 buildings to every direction of the bank?
Probably not, but those people who are in the bank aren't posing any greater threat to society beyond the hostages that they've taken. Like, I don't think it's just not true of Hamas.
Neither are the Hamas guys attacking a couple IDF guys in Gaza. They're not.
Hamas is engaged in a full-scale military operation against Israel.
Really? They've been engaged for 15 months, with the exception of very rarely a couple of rockets. They've been engaged with IDF soldiers inside of Gaza. After
the IDF pushed them back inside of Gaza, after they breached the wall.
Yeah, they made no other attempt to in any sort of scalable thing infiltrate Israel again.
I don't know if it would have been possible for them to ever do that. I don't know, because IDF is obviously a lot more powerful than them, and they've established control over a lot of corridors in the Gaza Strip, and I think a buffer zone within Gaza as well. I don't know if it ever would have been feasible for Hamas to try to go into Israeli territory again, but they have obviously done rockets as well. But
so they're not posing a threat to Israel in that sense, then.
What do you mean threat to? I think they are posing a threat to Israel.
No,
you
claim they're posing a threat to the greater society. Those couple guys on the road attacking some IDF soldiers in this scenario are posing a threat to the greater society outside of this situation.
They're part of an organization that is in a full-scale military operation against the state of Israel. I mean, yes.
And for the past 15 months has been in a full-scale defensive operation.
Well, yeah, because Israel invaded after they attacked, but yes.
But that's the scenario that we're actually looking at.
Well, sure, but I think Israel's... I mean, understand, if I think that Israel's aims are justified and they're preventing Israel from completing those aims, I'm still gonna hold that these people are posing a threat to Israel's aims that I believe are justified in this case.
They're not attacking Israel. when we're talking about the
What do you mean?
invasion
How
of
many
Khan Yunis,
IDF soldiers
we're
have
talking about it's
died?
been
Like,
months since an attack on Israel, like 6-8 months since the attack on Israel.
you keep saying
At
attack
this point,
on
the
it, like,
IDF, many high-ranking IDF members have already admitted that any military goals have already been achieved in Gaza.
Well, sure. I mean, I think there's, you know, at this point, like, I think there's a case to be made for a ceasefire because I don't know. I'm not a military tactics guy. I don't actually know if Israel can achieve any more of its goals.
No,
but
stay on topic. Stay on topic. This isn't about a ceasefire.
well, I'm just responding to the point of these people.
Because these couple Hamas guys are attacking the couple IDF guys, is that justifiable to bomb a caravan of evacuating civilians?
It could be, again, assuming the attack is directed at Hamas militants and these are incidental damage, it could be, I could see a case where it's justified, yes. Again, because if I believe Israel's war aims are justified, right, and I believe the completion of these aims would be good, then I would hold that these people who are engaged in a full-scale military operation against Israel, trying to stop them from completing those aims that are, yes, within the Gaza Strip, would be a bad thing, in which case it's justified to use force against them. Yeah, like, yeah.
So I think it's very, like, it's a good goal to stop a bank robbery. It's justifiable for me to bomb, you know, the bank and 3 buildings around it. Because they're posing a threat to the sanctity of society.
I mean, in your example, that I mean, in a military context, I don't know if that strike would be proportional, but I don't think that those people who are robbing the bank and have hostages or whatever are not part of like any larger organization that is in, again, at full scale war.
What if they're
a part of a gang?
Yeah, a crip.
I mean, we're not at war of gangs, right? Like, we're trying to enforce like law and order domestically with these things versus a like full-scale war in a military context. Like, there are things that are okay in a military context that we probably wouldn't hold are necessarily
we're saying,
okay in like domestic law enforcement.
Here. I'm failing to see the actual like verifiable difference in bombing civilians for one purpose and bombing civilians for another purpose. I'm trying to see where your morality actually stands.
Well, when you say bombing civilians, it makes it sound like the attack is directed against civilians. Obviously, I'm supposing that the attack is directed at militants.
The convoy of civilians evacuating. It didn't hit the side of the road where maybe a Hamas guy was. The attack directly hit the road with the civilians evacuating.
When I say directed, I just mean the intention was there to hit the militants or whatever.
If I shoot somebody, but I didn't intend to shoot them, should I still get in trouble for that?
Yeah, but that's not how it works in military context. Or do you think any amount of incidental damage is acceptable? Like,
yes, but what's happening and what has happened is not incidental damage. At a certain point, you can no longer claim incidental damage when we have time and time again 2,000-pound bombs dropped on tents on a beach or dropped on people evacuating after being told by the IDF to evacuate 5 minutes prior.
I mean, like, all these cases, I don't see how there could very clearly be a case made that this is incidental damage. Like, even with 2,000-pound bombs and like tents on a beach, like there are cases like with that like strike in Rafah where I think that wasn't using a 2,000-pound bomb, but there are cases where like a 2,000-pound bomb is necessary to destroy some basement of a building. It's my understanding. Maybe you have a different one.
Yeah, so 2,000-pound bombs on tents on a beach.
I mean, presumably, like Israel. My understanding is Israel has like an entire weaponeering department where they try to weaponeer weapons to have the least amount of incidental damage possible. I just don't think. I think if Israel is using a 2,000-pound bomb, there's probably someone who has tried to weaponeer this in such a way where they're causing the least amount of incidental harm. There's probably B. In some cases, there'll be a warning for people to flee that area that they're about to bomb. In some cases, that warning isn't feasible because they're, say, trying to kill a high-level target. And I think Israel also has, or they also, there's a third. There's a third thing. I might have to get back
I'm
to
going to add
that.
some more context for you because you seem to not actually know the strike that I'm referencing. I'm talking about a strike that was on the beach in Al-Mawasi, the designated safe zone. 2,000-pound bomb hit the tents, caused a massive fire. There was nothing under it. It was on the beach. if you have a target.
Wait, there was
I'm not
nothing
even
under it, or Israel
necessarily
didn't
saying-
think? Israel didn't think there was anything under it. Is the
I
allegation
don't
Israel
care what
didn't
they
even
think.
Well,
They have
that's
a
what-
responsibility to protect civilians.
Sure.
They need evidence of something else. And I'm sorry, do you think that
It's
they had
based on the-
evidence of a tunnel under the beach?
They could have. I don't know. Like Israel or Hamas, I think, utilizes tunnels. I don't think it's unreasonable to suspect that they have tunnels under the humanitarian zone, especially
Have you
because the
ever
humanitarian zone
dug
is.
at gone to a beach and dug? Have you ever witnessed a beach?
I don't think it.
You know how
I
sand
understand. I mean, most of Gaza is sand, right? They still seem to be able to build tunnels. I think you can build tunnels under the ocean if you have advanced enough equipment, which I like.
Do you think Hamas has that?
I think Hamas has the. I think Hamas has the capability to build tunnels. I don't know. I don't know if it's impossible for Hamas to build a tunnel under a beach or near a beach, or again,
No, you just
even if
said under
Israel
the
just.
ocean. Do you think Hamas has the capabilities to do it under the ocean?
I doubt Hamas can do it under the ocean, but I don't know if it's unfeasible for them to
Thank
do
you
it.
for having some semblance of realism in your life.
Sure, but also it's not like the humanitarian zone doesn't just include like the sandy beach or whatever. It includes like I don't know how many miles
that's
inland
the
as
strike
well.
that I'm talking about. The strike that I'm talking about was on the beach.
Okay.
Right? It was I'm not even necessarily. Now, to be fair, I would probably disagree with a strike here no matter what, because it is a fucking tent city of people that you may evacuate. But, if they had a target in this area, there was no necessity to use a 2,000-pound bomb on it. They could have used something smaller, something more targeted, and something that they had a little more control over, and they chose not to.
I don't know if this is necessarily true. I'm not a military tactics guy, but like there are cases where again I could see a 2,000-pound being justified, and also I think you have even told me before that like Israel has some amount of civilian cutoff limit, right? You say like, oh, for one militant they can kill 20 civilians. To me, at least, that suggests that there's like someone in this room or like a commander.
The AI dictates up to 100. There's one report from an IDF guy that said 50, up to 50. It was not 20.
Well, I think last time you told me 20, but the AI system is AI DSS. It's an AI decision support system. I don't think it's like recommending targets. It's still on the commander to run.
You're correct. The targets are then approved or denied by humans.
Which it's still up to the commander to do a like proportionality analysis. They still have to assess whether or not there's like a reasonable or if the damage to civilian and civilian objects would be too high in relation to the direct and concrete military gain, right?
So given that they built this AI that said up to 100, what do you think that their risk assessment there would be?
What do I think their risk assessment there would be? I mean,
they built this AI to make this risk assessment.
I don't think they built the AI to make the risk assessment. I think they built the AI to try to track targets, right? To try to track militants and try to track.
They control the risk assessment that the AI has. That's what I mean. They made that.
I mean, sure, but I don't know how many strikes Israel's approving where it's one militant to like 100 civilians.
No, I'm not saying approving those. That's not my claim. I'm just asking you to critically think for a second that the army that made this AI to target people said one militant for 100 civilians.
Because I don't think that actually entails. Because if the decision is up to the commander or whether the strike is actually proportional, I don't know. I don't think that just having the AI DSS system recommend targets.
My question isn't that the AI is like the AI says, oh, 100 civilians will die, and the IDF says.
But you're using the amount of collateral damage that the AI allows as evidence of like what Israel's risk assessment is. I don't think that's...
I'm asking you. I'm not using it as evidence. I'm asking you to critically think about the army that made that AI. What do you think in terms of when they actually pull the trigger, their risk assessment is? Given that the AI that they made for this purpose has it at 100.
How can you say that you're not using the evidence that the AI DSS system, has a 100 cutoff limit or whatever?
We know they built this one thing.
Which they don't use to approve targets.
What do you think their limit is?
I don't know. It would depend on the strike. Like the limit for one person, If you said you said it was 20 last time. I don't know. I think there's reason to believe that it's probably something like 20, and I think there's questions of whether that is truly proportional. But I doubt it would be more than like 1 to 20 civilians for any individual strike, if it's not a high level target at least.
Well, we know they've killed more than that for less than one Hamas guy before. But whatever.
They've killed more than 20 for less than one Hamas. That sounds like that sounds like it was unlawfully directed in the first place, not that it was just disproportionate.
Unlawfully directed how?
As in, if you're saying that they killed, more than 20 people for less than one Hamas guy or less than one militant, that sounds like the strike was either a mistake in that they had intelligence that, the militants were here and it turned out they weren't, or that they were, I would say this is less probable, but they were directing the attack at civilians in the first place.
Okay, so what should be done about those strikes?
It depends. Do you think what? Sorry?
If anything.
Certainly there are things where they should be done. They should do something about those strikes. Like, I think even with the World Central Kitchen strike, Israel at least fired the commanders.
I'm still listening, but I just gotta go let her out.
I think Israel at least fired the commanders. And I think Israel does a really unbelievably shitty job at actually punishing soldiers who I do believe commit crimes. But there are definitely cases, if an attack is directed at civilians, those commanders should be fired and they should be put in an Israeli prison. If not a fucking ICC prison. But
okay, so what do you think that there's anything that America should enforce about that when that doesn't happen?
I would be in favor of conditioning aid harder. Obviously, Biden conditioned aid a teeny bit. I think that we should, if we're going to aid Israel, we should condition it on them freezing settlements at the very least, and on them doing actual investigations into these things, and not giving that aid to certain, like the whatever group in the West Bank that Biden didn't give them to. There might be other brigades too that we shouldn't give to. So.
Okay, I would agree with that, just given that it's against our own laws to give them shit at this point. But, we have a whole thing where we can't give units that are shown to commit war crimes our weaponry, but we continue to do it to Israel.
Sure.
Okay. Let me go back to what your other points were, because I don't want to stick on this for way too long. You said the ratios. Like the amount of civilian to Hamas dead proves that it's not a genocide? Is that just...
I think the relative risk implies that it's unlikely to be a genocide. So relative risk is just a number of militants killed over the militant population, and you put that over the number of civilians killed over the civilian population. Depending on what numbers you use, which I understand is controversial, you get a relative risk above 20. I think when I did the calculations, I think I was assuming 30,000 civilians dead versus 10,000 militants, and we can fight over what numbers to use.
I think the Lancet numbers are important, but I understand that we're not using them currently.
Hold on,
the number 37,000.
Sure. Wait, the Lancet numbers aren't even. Those are projected. Those are projected estimates of future indirect deaths. It's not even the deaths now. It's future deaths, and they're indirect deaths. They wouldn't be useful in this context. It's both deaths now and...
I think that the deaths of, for example, hypothermia in Gaza would be at the hands of Israel.
No, I don't think that's useful for determining... The importance of relative risk is determining how discriminate a military is being, in an attack. The indirect deaths are not relevant to that assessment.
Here's the problem. That's not what a genocide is. A genocide isn't killing people.
Sure, but I think having a high relative risk makes it a lot more unlikely that it is a genocide. Okay. Being more discriminate makes it less unlikely.
So why should we not count the things like deaths from hypothermia due to the conditions Israel created on the ground as part of the numbers when we're trying to...
Because the relative risk is just a measure of how discriminate a military is being in its attacks. So I don't think Israel...
Right, I get that, but you're using that to disprove genocide. Genocide
I'm
includes
using it as
conditions of life calculated to bring about the demise of a group in whole or in part.
I'm using it as evidence against the evidence against Israel committing genocide. I think all else equal, it's unlikely that Israel's committing a genocide if the relative risk is high. Now, obviously, I'm not saying these necessarily preclude each other. So there could be a case where Israel does like extremely discriminate strikes, yet on the other hand brings about conditions that are unsuitable for life in the population of Gaza or whatever. We would just also have a disagreement over whether Israel is necessarily doing that in Gaza. But I think all else equal, obviously relative risk being high in the case that it's not a genocide. And also
but my contention is that your relative risk should include the people that are dying as a result of the conditions on the ground, because these are conditions that Israel has created. That is part of the genocide accusation. You're just ignoring a big part of the genocide accusation against Israel.
Well, I don't want to say I'm not ignoring it just because one measure doesn't include that. I think I think the relative risk is useful to indicate how discriminated the military is being in its attacks. I don't think it's necessarily, again, I acknowledge it doesn't even preclude the possibility of genocide having a high relative risk. It's just that we expect genocides to usually have like a relative risk under 4, and that's not including indirect deaths. There's just not. It doesn't seem that's just not the case in Gaza, seemingly.
Well, then seemingly it's pretty unlikely that the Holocaust was a genocide, because that wasn't really like the military going out and air striking Jewish people in Europe.
I mean, the
like,
relative...
It's a dumb measure to use. You have to recognize that.
No, I don't think it's a dumb measure.
The only point that you brought up against genocide.
Well, it's not the only... I gave you like 3 other things. No, it's not the only point that I use, and I don't think it's a dumb thing. But the relative risk of a lot of the attacks that Nazis did would have been incredibly low. Like, they were literally like bombing like Jewish majority neighborhoods. Like, if you were to, I mean, you'd have to modify relative risk a little bit to fit the framework of the Holocaust. I get like, but that would be an incredibly low relative risk, because obviously the Holocaust, I believe, was discriminate towards civilians, discriminate towards capturing Jewish people and putting them in camps. Yeah,
and the genocide in Gaza is discriminate towards both bombing and creating conditions of life calculated to bring about the demise of Palestinians.
Well, obviously, a factual disagreement there. I guess I'm just not okay. How, like, what relative risk, or let me ask you this actually. How many people do you think are dead in Gaza right now?
Do I think are dead, or do I know are dead?
Do you, like, on a preponderance of evidence, believe the number is like
well in excess of 100,000.
In excess of 100,000, based on what, the Lancet number?
Well, based on the Lancet number is part of it, but if you look at the Lancet number, if you look at the amount of people that are reported as missing, if you look at the amount of bodies that are being found in northern Gaza that are just fucking skin and, not even skin and bones, just bones. Like all of this combined, as well as the amount of people that have been dying from natural causes due to the conditions. Yeah.
Okay, so how many of those people? How many of these people do we think are killed like by Israel's military actions versus just the conditions in Gaza stemming from Israel's actions? Like, how many of these people are bombed versus how many people? Well, it matters to me because I would
bombed probably at least 60,000. At least
60,000. Okay, at least. More. That's like, I'm not convinced of that. But I think even if we ran with that number, that relative risk is probably still over 4. But what's the evidence that there are? I think the Ministry of Health puts the number at like almost 50,000 plus like 10,000 under rubble, and that includes even deaths from like natural causes. The Ministry of Health doesn't distinguish between deaths from natural causes versus deaths by Hamas versus deaths from Israel.
Ministry of Health, in their numbers that they're releasing, do distinguish specifically if the death was a result of the fighting. So that could be a bunch of different things. That could also include infections that happened after the fact and stuff like that. But their numbers are deaths from the fighting.
With what they're reading into deaths from the fighting, like any infection or thing resulting from the war.
The 8 babies who died of hypothermia are not deaths as the result of fighting.
Okay.
They're a separately reported number from the Ministry of Health.
I get. Okay, here's another thing. Can we in principle agree that it could be the case that there, in any war, maybe I think is especially bad in this war, there are going to be like indirect deaths resulting from the war, just caused by the conditions of war, that aren't necessarily on the like perpetrators, or aren't necessarily the fault of the attacker, right?
Like what?
Like I would imagine in this circumstance, I would imagine like if Israel like does a strike with some amount of lawful incidental damage, or tells people to evacuate lawfully. I'm reading into this lawfully. Obviously, you might disagree with that. There's going to be complications with people evacuating into tent cities that is going to result to the deaths of some. That's presumably is going to result in the deaths of some people. I wouldn't necessarily put all that blame on Israel, because I still think Israel has a duty to warn people to flee if they are doing attacks in certain areas. I still think Israel has a duty to warn, and I think they have a duty for humanitarian aid, which I believe that they, to some extent, fulfill. But
To some extent, fulfilled or failed to fulfill?
Fulfill, to some extent.
To some extent, okay. Well, so a lot of the complications that arise out of people being sent to a tent city arise from, not enough humanitarian aid. You recognize that, right?
I'm sure, but I think
You also recognize that at the beginning of this war, most of the people that were forced to evacuate were not forced into tent cities. What happened was they leveled northern Gaza, and then they invaded Rafah, and forced everybody to Al-Mawasi where they needed tents, because this was a relatively rural area, a farming area.
And when you say force these people, that's like reading into it. I think that Israel's a duty to warn when they do these types of attacks, and I think it's fair for them to tell civilians to flee when they do attacks in these areas. I think it's obviously unfortunate that Hamas is so
I think it's forcing
embedded.
When they say if you don't evacuate, you're just going to be considered a terrorist. It's kind of forcing.
I don't believe that's what Israel said. I believe I don't believe that's what Israel says.
Isn't anybody who remains is a terrorist?
Who said that? Are you going to quote like one minister?
Israel.
Who is them?
Like their fucking leaflets and announcements said this shit. If you remain, you'll be considered a terrorist.
Their leaflets said, if you can link their leaflets saying that. I like any like civilians that stay in northern Gaza still have to be factored into proportionality analysis, and I'm not convinced that Israel just completely gives up on factoring in these civilians for proportionality once we're in, or if people stay in northern Gaza.
I'm just trying to get this for you quickly, and everything that I'm seeing is from January of this year, so I'm not going to be able to get you that link quickly right now.
Okay, sure.
I can get it to you another time, but I'm not going to spend this whole time researching it to find you one link. Okay.
Sure, that's fair.
So, when we're talking about, I think northern Gaza is the crux of this whole situation. Obviously, bad things happen in southern Gaza, but would you agree that northern Gaza is like the
I mean, crux of what? I think I don't know if it's the worst part, because I think like 85% of the civilians left northern Gaza. So it's not a.
Yeah, there was estimates in October that 400,000 people remained in northern Gaza.
Yeah, which is only like 15% of northern Gaza's previous population. I guess just say
you're correct.
I don't. So the crux of what?
Well, these were the people that for a month got 0 aid trucks, are blockaded, that had fucking kill zones from Israeli snipers, that were unable to do fucking anything. Like, the situation in all of Gaza was bad, but for northern Gaza, it was exceptionally worse.
So I think, northern Gaza would be the crux of not delivering enough humanitarian aid. I don't think northern Gaza is necessarily the crux of like civilian deaths or anything, because I think most of the civilians left.
I meant like the crux of like the worst situation is in, or was in, still is.
for the people who stayed there, that could be true. I don't know if it's preferable to live in a tent city in Rafah versus if it's preferable to live in northern Gaza. I don't know. I generally don't know, but
Okay, well, northern Gaza is again complete blockade of aid for a month. That is where there were sieges of the hospitals, where there were extensive kill zones for Israeli snipers to shoot anything that moves. That is where it was said that if you stay, you're a terrorist.
I guess what's the like? Is there evidence that like the strikes in northern Gaza are like more disproportionate than the strikes in like Rafah or southern Gaza or anything? I guess it's just like Israel has like an entire
in northern. There was more strikes in northern Gaza, and northern Gaza is like the heart of some of the worst strikes, including the Jabalia strikes. Like 4 times Jabalia was struck with 2,000 bombs, killing each time like 100 civilians. Maybe a little less than that. But
I'm aware. I've read the lawfare article. Yeah, I'm aware. But which by the way, those strikes killed militants as well, even if they were disproportionate. But I like the minor. Also, when you say kill zone, just real quick, are we saying people who approach military objectives like the border wall or like the buffer zone or
no?
shot,
From reports
or?
from IDF soldiers, they were posted up with snipers and were told to shoot anything that moves.
Where are these people stationed?
In
Are
northern
they
Gaza, where there was still 400,000 people, ish.
They're I don't know. Are they stationed at a military objective? Because there are cases where if you're stationed at a military objective and someone is approaching that military objective, it would be lawful to shoot them.
It's not approaching. It's anything that moves. That was like the direct quote from an IDF soldier.
Okay, I don't know how much I take the word of like one IDF soldier versus like what I've read about the history of like IDF practice on some of these things. But I guess like here's another thing relating to that. Like my understanding is Israel has a organization, the MAG Corps or the MAG Corps, that like usually for airstrikes are consulted on if they strike is lawful. Like this is literally like a team of international lawyers that are consulted on if a strike is lawful. I'm not convinced that in northern Gaza, like this team all of a sudden was like not being utilized or like not, or we're considering everyone who stayed a terrorist. I don't think these people are gonna. I would have a high prior against that being the case, but.
Yet you also admitted the Jabalia strikes happening, including like the first Jabalia strike that was said to kill a high Hamas member that a week later was shown to be alive that wasn't even killed in that strike. That was the excuse for killing a shit ton. I think like 70.
I mean, I think it's likely that some of the I've read about some of them, so I think it's likely that some of the Jabalia refugee camp strikes were disproportionate. But disproportionate to me implies that the attack was lawfully directed at a military target and then just killed too many civilians in relation to the direct and concrete military gain. So, like, is the allegation we're making that the like Jabalia? Wait, hold on, just real quick. Is the allegation that you're making for that strike you mentioned, the Hamas commander who turned out to be alive, that Israel bombed the refugee camp just to kill civilians and lied about the commander being dead? Is that
that's the effect of what happened?
The effect of what do we think Israel? What do we think Israel's intent was?
Strike. They announced the commander dead, said that's why we did the strike. He was very clearly not dead. He was very clearly alive and well. And 76 Palestinian civilians were not.
So do we think that Israel's intent was just to kill those civilians? The attack was directed at the civilians?
I think with the scale of times that this has happened, yes.
Okay.
I think if this was a one-off, I would have a different opinion. But it has not been a one-off. This is something that has been consistently happening.
It's consistently happened that Israel has lied about killing militants in strikes that have also killed civilians.
They've continuously done these large strikes that don't end up killing their Hamas target that they said was there, and do kill a shit ton of Palestinian civilians.
Okay, and the allegation is that Israel didn't. Do you think Israel?
I just said the allegation.
Sure. Do you think Israel honestly believed that they were there, or do you think honestly Israel like just wanted to kill the civilians?
I think if it was a one-off, I would believe it. I would believe that they made a mistake. It's happened too many times for that.
Okay. And
So it's
how many
either
times would
their
you?
level of evidence that it's either their level of evidence that they rely upon is extraordinarily low, in which case, what the fuck are you doing dropping these bombs with extraordinarily low evidence, or they're lying.
Okay. I mean, again, like the history, how the IDF does these strikes would make me have a high priority against that. But I think it's unlikely that Israel is engaging in strikes that they genuinely believe that the sole purpose of which is to kill civilians, considering the checks that they have, even like within their air force, to do these airstrikes. And I think it's when it comes to the level of evidencing, I don't know how many strikes I would expect to happen. Like if Israel operates on, like, you know, a 90% certainty basis, if they're doing 100 strikes in the course of this war, then 10 of those strikes are going to be, you know, mistakes where they kill civilians and don't end up killing their target. I don't know if that's an unreasonably standard or low evidence. I would have to know how many strikes Israel's doing of this type, and what percentage of them don't kill the target and what percentage of them do kill the target.
The majority of documented droppings of 2,000-pound bombs have been, you know, in highly populated areas. They have also, a very good portion, had no evidence to support that they killed who Israel said they killed. Like, you said you'd read up, you did not. But that's fine.
Drop the track to
I
me,
want
don't
to
worry.
get to this point that you made earlier about proportionality. So, do you think that Israel has a responsibility to do proportional strikes?
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about the fact that they have a doctrine that explicitly dictates disproportionate strikes? Disproportionate force to be used.
I don't know if I would. What's the doctrine you're talking about? I don't know.
The doctrine.
I don't. The Dahiyya doctrine would be not just disproportionate but indiscriminate, right? Isn't that the thing that they use in Lebanon, the carpet bombing or whatever?
Yeah, it's the overwhelming force to discourage any resistance.
I guess I'm not. I think that would be. I don't even think that would be a failure in proportionality. I think that would be a failure in discrimination. I'm just not convinced Israel is. I haven't read up on the whole things. From what I've read from Benny Morris, I'm not even convinced that Israel applied that doctrine to Lebanon, and I'm not convinced that Israel has done that in Gaza. I think it's just likely that. We see high civilian casualties, and we see a lot of these destroyed cities and everything, not because they're carpet bombing, but because Hamas operates out of the basements of these buildings, because Hamas operates in tunnels under cities
So,
that we see.
what would it take for you to say that they used it?
I don't know. I guess you'd have to show evidence that I think is sound. That Israel is carpet bombing places, and there's a like such high level of like civilian casualties that it's clear like it was indiscriminate. Like it's not just.
So at what point does it reach that?
I don't know where I would draw the line. I would probably base it on the relative risk. So if the relative risk was under 10 or whatever, or under 10, under 5.
Okay, you and your fucking cuckoldry to relative risk.
Real.
That's okay. It probably doesn't take into account the fact that Hamas has record high recruitment because people's parents have been bombed out of existence. But, do you think that Israel's targeting infrastructure, and specifically civilian infrastructure?
I don't think there's a clean line between civilian infrastructure and military infrastructure in most of Gaza. So, we can say that like they're targeting civilian infrastructure, but I also think that Hamas utilizes a lot of civilian infrastructure.
Like what?
Like it stored weapons in hospitals, it stored weapons in mosques, it stored weapons in schools. We have videos of people like with RPGs running into hospitals. We have videos of Hamas people in ambulances from, I think, Protective Edge. Like,
yeah, we have no evidence in this iteration of Hamas using ambulances. Just so you
well,
know.
we have of Hamas using ambulances. I don't know if I'm not familiar with all the evidence for this one, but like we have evidence that Hamas uses hospitals and schools, right? You just don't like that evidence because it comes from the IDF.
Well, I mean, there's no proof of like command and control centers in hospitals, as is
Wait, hold on. We do also. This came up in our last debate. We do agree that there was a tunnel under El Shifa, right? Under the surgical building in El Shifa that Israel like flew a drone into, and like we can watch the whole drone footage of them entering a shaft near the hospital and going directly underneath it. Or do we think that's like all just fake?
Yeah, I could almost guarantee you that there's a subway shaft underneath a hospital in New York. There was no connection.
There's not a subway shaft. This is a
that Israel made before they pulled out of Gaza that was sealed in fucking cement.
Okay, I don't think
they pulled out, which would have been by Hamas. They sealed that.
They sealed what? Sorry, they sealed the
connection of that hospital to the tunnel system that existed before that was built by Israel before they pulled out of Gaza.
I think the allegation is I don't think the tunnel that they exposed was the one that they did that to. I think this is a newer tunnel. Or at least that's the allegation.
The tunnel that they exposed they walked through at Shifa. First of all. Second of all, it did not connect to the hospital.
It has shafts
opening
like next to the hospital, and it has
as was accused, as was the reason for raiding the hospital.
I don't know what is the evidence that would be necessary to show that it's used as a command and control center?
You have to have some significant infrastructure, even like a table and 6 chairs, maybe.
There was a chair and a toilet, right? Do you not remember the
There's a table with 1 chair.
Doesn't the I don't know, I like the my understanding, the tunnel underneath El Shifa had a toilet, it had air conditioning, it had it had like a bench. I think one of the allegations that IDF made is that, you know, this is clearly meant for like a long-term stay, potentially even for hostages that Hamas took, right? Like,
it had 1 bed and it had no evidence of them being used for any of these things.
What evidence would be required to show that? Like,
anything left behind. If you're actively raiding it,
they have weapons left
right?
behind.
Wait. If you're actively raiding it, there should be actual like evidence there. There's no evidence in the tunnel of it being used for any of those allegations.
We acknowledge there were weapons recovered from, I believe, the MRI building in El Shifa, and I believe from the tunnel in El Shifa. There might have been a tunnel in another hospital.
Yes, there was a bag with a weapon thrown behind a broken MRI machine. And I think there was 1 other bag found somewhere else inside of Shifa. There was a truck found somewhere else that had more weapons, but that wasn't like in the hospital.
I think it was a truck in the hospital parking lot that Israel believes was used on October 7th. I think that's the allegation.
Why would it still be full of shit if it was used on October 7th?
I'm not sure. They might have abandoned it. I don't know. That might be operating from. They might take this truck from the hospital to other places when they need to.
Why would it be full if they used it on October 7th?
What? Sorry? Why would it be full? Weapons don't disintegrate after you use them once. Presumably you could have
the fucking missiles, like the RPG things.
Sure,
carry those around
RPGs.
after you. No, not the RPGs, like the ammo for them.
What ammo? They could have ammo left over. Again, they could have refilled the truck. Like they could have, like, there's 100 other possibilities other than what Israel planted the evidence, or this truck was never used for military purposes, or just wasn't used on October 7th.
Well, my thing is that Israel needs to provide the evidence of what they're stating.
I mean, it seems like
in the main hospital area. They raided the entire hospital for this. They claimed command and control center. The evidence of this was not there. And they raided civilian infrastructure to do this.
Okay, but we
They
keep
also
using
sniped multiple Palestinians evacuating ahead of their raid and after their raid coming back.
We keep using the civilian infrastructure term. Like, we at least acknowledge that Hamas like ruled Gaza for 16 years, and at no point did they like section out part of Gaza to be used for military purposes. They operate only out of parts of Gaza that are in or near civilian areas. Like,
all of Gaza is in or near civilian areas. It's one of the most densely packed areas.
Yeah, because I mean, like, we can look at the satellite imagery. There's clearly like empty space within Gaza, or at least there was, which at one point
they're put on a calorie deficit.
True. At one point during these 16 years of Hamas rule in Gaza, Hamas could have conceivably sectioned off a part or some parts of Gaza for military bases.
Where? What open area of Gaza was not being used for something?
I mean, I don't know the names of these places, but like, are we rejecting that there's anywhere within Gaza that Hamas could have sectioned off for a military base?
I mean, not effectively. You're either making
what
the
does effectively
population
mean?
more densely packed, or you are eliminating a food source that is necessary for the population to sustain itself.
I don't even know. It's 100% of Gaza.
Palestinians. That's what you
True.
want.
It's a
I believe it would be worse to the Palestinians.
To be clear, I believe it would be better for the Palestinians because Palestinians would be less likely to be killed in incidental strikes. I obviously think that the sectioned off part of the. I don't believe 100% of Gaza is either like densely populated city or farmland necessary for Gaza's survival. I believe somewhere within these 16 years of Hamas rule, they could have sectioned off, a few square miles of Gaza and made military bases there. They have not done that. They've only ever operated out of tunnels, out of basements and buildings, out of refugee camps, out of even the humanitarian zone.
So, does that justify the storming of a hospital?
It could.
That the claims for were not substantiated?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how meaningful the difference between like command and control center and like a basement where Hamas militants have stored weapons and all this stuff is to me. But if a hospital is being used for military purposes, there could be justified cases of raided a hospital. By the way, my understanding is that
is a truck that was outside of the hospital, not inside the hospital.
And the weapons in the MRI building and the weapons in the basement? Like what?
Right. So if a patient is brought
in the tunnel under the hospital.
The tunnel under the hospital? We don't know what that was used for. We don't know if it was used.
Are you kidding? Come on, bro.
There's literally no evidence. It was a bed without even having a mattress on it or anything.
There were tunnels found underneath the children's hospital, right? That had weapons directly in that tunnel, did it not?
Children's hospital is the one where the tunnel wasn't connected? Is that the one you're talking about?
I thought El Shifa. I thought the allegation is El Shifa is the or the allegation making is that the El Shifa one wasn't connected to hospital, even though it had an opening next to the hospital and it ran directly under the surgical building. And I think the children's hospital had a tunnel, maybe it was just in a basement, of weapons stored there. And also, my understanding is that with El Shifa, first of all, they did before partially raiding it initially, they warned hospital management of it. They also, to some extent, delivered aid and medical supplies to the hospital. And I think with the children's hospital they raided as well, they made sure that the patients were evacuated before they went in. Because I think Israel generally does a decent job at warning people to get out.
Bro,
presumably to other hospitals or other safer areas.
Gaza is not functional. The ones that are still functional are very hardly functional, basically.
I mean, right? Sure, but it doesn't. I could imagine, although I would want the hospital, if a hospital is being raided, it's always going to be, or maybe not always, but the majority of the time, it's going to be safer for the people to evacuate to other places, even to another non-fully functional hospital, than it is to stay in a hospital with a. What? Sorry.
What military goal was achieved through raiding the hospital?
Getting rid of their base of operation, having control over the tunnel there, having control. I mean, I believe there's evidence that Hamas is using the hospitals and using the tunnels. If we have weapons stored in these places, if we have tunnels under hospitals.
Wait. We're talking about the weapons inside the hospital. First of all, we're not in easy to grab areas. These were not ready to grab and go use. All right, it's conceivable that this was a patient that was brought in with this shit on them, and it got thrown somewhere in the hospital, because what the fuck is a doctor supposed to do with it?
That's more likely than Hamas using the hospital?
Anybody.
Wait, do you think that's more likely than Hamas using the hospital?
We're talking about two go bags in a hospital.
I don't think it's more likely than Hamas exploiting the hospital, especially when even fucking Amnesty International is saying that people were brought in 2014 in Protective Edge. People were brought to El Shifa for interrogation. I believe that in Protective Edge it was at least a abandoned part of the hospital, but I think that's
We
still.
also have video evidence of Hamas bringing, right after, like on the day of October 7th, yes, they brought hostages to the
hospital? Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
where they got medical attention.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Or should they not do that?
I mean, I think I don't know the full story. So I think one of the allegations there is that the Hamas, the people who captured the hostages, had to drive past other hospitals to get to El Shifa. But like, I mean, yeah, if they had, I believe it's unethical and not legal for them to take hostages in the first place. But if they have hostages, they should give them medical attention, and they should give them. I think they also should give them access to the Red Cross or whatever. I think it's yeah.
I would agree, but like when we're talking about like this iteration, on October 7th, a number of hostages were brought to hospitals and given medical attention. On security camera, we can see them getting medical attention. I would say that that's not something to criticize Hamas about in terms of like that specific action of giving them medical attention. Yes, taking the hostages.
I think the intention behind it was probably so that they could not die and have more leverage when it comes to releasing the Palestinian prisoners in the West Bank.
They're still alive. They're still alive. They're being released.
Sure. If the position, like, I agree, it's a net good that they gave the hostages medical attention. I think that's a net good. I also just think that it's still immoral on the whole to do so. Like it to take the hostages in the first place and to use them as leverage to try to get the West Bank prisoners released.
No, those are hostages too. You know, a very good.
Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe they're hostages because I don't believe Israel is using them to like try to get something else out of like Hamas. Like I think that's what Hamas uses their hostages for. I think Israel just even if the people in the West Bank are arbitrarily detained, what makes a hostage is that you're extorting them to get like concessions out of another entity.
Yeah, they've been trying to get confessions and information out of hostages for decades.
I don't think trying to get confessions out of prisoners is extorting
uncharged prisoners. I'm not talking about the people that are charged. That's a separate story. I'm talking about the people that are left without charge for years in Israeli prisons.
Sure, I don't think it would only be a case of like hostages if they said, for example, like what I think Hamas said, like every airstrike that Israel does, they're going to kill a hostage. They didn't follow through on that. But like that's an example of Hamas like leveraging the hostage to try to like extort military aims out of Israel. I don't think Israel does the same, even if they are arbitrarily detaining people.
Not a scare tactic to discourage any form of resistance from the West Bank.
Well, we're reading into this.
If you go out and you speak against Israel, you get hostage taken.
I don't
get taken hostage.
Again, I would dispute that they're hostages. Like it seems circular to say that they're hostages because being arrested makes it, you know, is used as a fear tactic to make people not protest in the West Bank. Like
they're arrested, quote unquote, without charge. They're held until a hostage deal is ready to be made, and then they are released.
Sure, that doesn't challenge my framework of them being prisoners and not hostages, even if some of them are arbitrarily detained, which is illegal. But
okay. Well, I will also say that there's no hostages left in Gaza. There's just prisoners of war. But
wait, hold on. What do you mean? Even soldiers can be hostages if you do what Hamas is doing to them, right?
Oh, right. So Russia saying like we can trade POWs as hostages. Ukraine saying we can trade POWs as hostages.
Not necessarily. There has to be more to it than that. More than just trading. I mean, I can pull up I think the Liber Institute has their like definition of hostages, but I think again, like the example of we're gonna kill a hostage for every airstrike you do. Like there has to be like you have to like try to change your opponent's like military actions in order for them to be hostages. I'm not convinced that Russia and Ukraine are doing that. They're just exchanging POWs.
I mean, the military action of holding POWs and killing them by Russia is attempted to be changed by Ukraine's POWs because they're trying to get them back.
I'm not familiar with the Russia-Ukraine POW thing. Wait, what's the allegation you're saying? You're saying Russia is killing Ukrainian POWs to...
Russia has killed Ukrainian POWs, yes.
In retaliation for access to Ukraine?
Just shooting them for funsies.
I mean, I'm sure, like, I'm not a Russia defender. I'm sure Russia has done plenty of, horrible things. I'm in support of aid to Ukraine. I just also, I don't know, I don't know if I would consider them hostages just because some have died. You'd have to substantiate that, like, they're killing them in retaliation for what they believe Ukraine has done or something.
No, what I'm saying is that Ukraine is using the POWs to get their own back to avoid that.
And they're
Would that
intentionally
make the POWs that are Russian, would that make them hostages?
I mean, if they were intentionally taking even soldiers into capture and then trying to change the actions of Russia militarily, that could be a hostage situation. I don't know if just trying to get prisoners of war released is a goal that would fall under that. And I don't know. I don't believe that Ukraine is intentionally taking them just with that aim. And Ukraine's probably defeating these people like on the front lines and then capturing them as prisoners of war.
And follow-up question. In previous times when Hamas has taken hostage IDF members and later released them just for Palestinian prisoner releases, would that be a hostage?
Sorry, repeat that allegation. That
when Hamas has taken prisoner or hostage, whatever you want to say, a IDF member, and then later released them in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners.
I think whether or not it's a hostage would probably depend on the legality of the detention of people in the West Bank. I think that's probably what it would be. And we probably somewhat disagree on that too. But
I love how you can never give a straight answer.
What do you mean? Okay. How's not a clear answer? I think it would depend on whether or not you believe the detention of people in the West Bank is legal.
Let's say it's legal.
If it was legal, then it would probably be if the detention of people in the West Bank was legal, it would probably be a hostage thing. If it was illegal, it'd probably be a prisoner of war thing. Because you're trying to get military concessions out of Israel for doing a lawful action by taking hostages, right?
It's lawful to take POWs.
How's
that different from Ukraine and Russia?
Because again, if Israel is doing a lawful action by detaining people in the West Bank, and what you're doing is taking prisoners hostage and trying to get Israel to change their lawful military aims, that's a hostage versus just capturing people as POWs and exchanging them voluntarily with the enemy.
The enemy is voluntarily giving up these people in exchange for.
Well, I mean, maybe voluntarily is not the right word. I just meant as a. So I'm reading the definition. Seizure, detention, or otherwise holding of a person accompanied by the threat to kill, injure, or continue to detain person in order to compel a third party to do or abstain from doing any act explicit or explicit for conditions, implicit condition for the release, safety, or well-being of the hostages. So I don't know. I don't know how much you're allowed to leverage POWs for exchanges with other people versus I don't know this area law. I don't know. Presumably I could read up on what the scholars have said about Ukraine and Russia exchanging prisoners of war versus hostage taking. I don't know where that line is drawn, I guess.
Well, here's what I say. I'll say they're all prisoners of war.
Okay.
Because ultimately, they're all being taken control of in a conflict that is ongoing and has been ongoing for decades. And they're being used to, incite some sort of change from the enemy. So I think they're all one thing, whether they be hostages or POWs. I'm gonna go with POWs. But, you can call it what you want, they're the same. Whatever they are on either side. I did want to ask you, while I have you here. So you obviously, and understandably, don't see October 7th as a valid form of resistance against Israel. Obviously.
Sure.
What would be from the Palestinians?
I think, for example, in the West Bank, if Palestinians are, I don't know, like firebombing the fucking construction of new settlements. That would probably be justified. In Gaza, I don't know. I guess like in my view, I would say the occupation to begin with, at least, was probably lawfully created in self-defense. So I don't know like what types of resistance I don't think there's much resistance justified in terms of resisting an occupation that was lawfully created in self-defense. So in Gaza,
so people have no right to resist a blockade, to resist a force that kneecaps them when they do a march for return.
So the blockade, I believe, if the blockade was too strict, there could be lawful resistance. For example, I think that I think even that the Gaza flotilla raid that happened in like 2010 or whatever, I think that actually succeeded in making the blockade on Gaza less strict. I think that could be a justified form of I don't know if we consider that resistance or just protest. I think that could be justified, but for the most part, any action I believe Israel's doing lawfully, I don't believe you necessarily have a right to resist.
So do you think that a peaceful march towards the fence without breaching it would be a valid form of resistance or protest?
If that's what the March to Return was, it could be. I believe the fence is probably a military objective. So anyone approaching the fence, which Israel, I have to do more reading on the fucking March to Return.
Do you think America should shoot anybody approaching the southern border?
Well, no, because our border of Mexico is not a military objective. I think if you are approaching a military objective, and by the way, like, it's not like Sinwar wasn't saying that he wanted people to breach the fence. It wasn't like people were sending balloons over the border wall to burn shit down in Israel. People, like, I believe even someone had like bolt cutters. If the March to Return really was just like Palestinians like moving like 50 meters closer every day in tents or whatever, I think that could be a justified form of protest. I don't believe that you have like I don't believe that you have the right to like approach a military objective and try to break shit, which is, I believe, what a lot of Palestinians are trying to do on the March to Return.
That's not what a lot of them are trying to do. A lot of Palestinians were simply, within, let's say, like 50 meters of the fence and
of a military objective.
And then the doctors that came to save them got killed.
I have to do more reading on the March to Return. I'm not sure.
There was a couple incidents of like not so great shit happening during the March to Return, but that's largely what it was. It was a months-long protest in which hundreds of Palestinians were killed and or kneecapped.
Yeah, but I think the big issue is, again, whether you consider the fence a military objective. Because if you consider the fence a military objective, then it could be perfectly lawful and potentially moral as well.
Trump considers the southern border a military objective. Should we shoot anybody approaching it?
Well, there can be.
He currently has military patrols on the southern border, so.
Sure, but I mean, there could be a scenario in which that is justified, but the current situation in Mexico would not count as that. I don't think unless we were at full-scale war with Mexico and had an actual like defensible border wall the same way Israel does that is a military objective, I don't believe.
So if Trump builds his wall, then we can do it?
If Trump,
considering, it's a terrorist organization that we're fighting. The cartel.
If Trump built a border wall, and there could be, it was as important militarily as the Gaza border wall is, then I believe you could make a case for that. Yeah, at least under IHL.
Would you agree with that?
I mean, probably not, because I don't believe the Mexican cartels are terrorist organizations in the same way that the most of the militants in Gaza are. So I don't think it would necessarily be moral.
Americans than Gazans.
Via like fentanyl or via like directly killing.
Both.
I guess I'm not convinced that cartels are intentionally targeting civilians for the purpose of killing civilians, even if the cartels are giving Americans fentanyl and killing and killing people who they believe wrong them or whatever.
The state, so we got to fight them off. Let's start shooting people at the southern border as they approach the border, because it's our border and we have a right to do whatever we want, right?
I mean, you don't have a right to do whatever you want, but if a hostile force is controlling territory, I mean, Palestine isn't a Mexican child. What about it? What approach to the border? Can you shoot them?
A hostile force. If we put the same characterization.
I don't believe it. No, you'd have to be directly participating in hostilities, which I don't believe the Mexican child would
So
be.
the children involved in the March for Return were valid.
Some of them were. We acknowledge that there was. I know there was at least one case of a literal like militant claimed by the Palestinian Jihad who was a 15-year-old kid. Like there was definitely at least one case I know of a Palestinian child directly participating in hostilities for which it was lawful to. I think he was shot. Yeah.
Yeah, in this months, like more than 6 month long protest, you could find 1 or 2 incidents. You are correct. I also don't claim that every BLM protest was violent. Do you?
No.
Mm-hmm. So we do have logic when we're talking about America. Can we apply this?
I mean, I don't think it's perfectly analogous because again, we're talking about like a state enforcing its own rules within its border versus like I guess technically a non-international armed conflict probably, but like international armed conflict for which different like rules apply.
Well, different rules do apply in terms of the Palestinians do have a right to lawfully armed resistance, and the Israelis do not have a right to self-defense over an occupied peoples.
Do you think it's true if the occupation was lawfully created in self-defense?
The occupation was not lawfully created in self-defense in the first place.
I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, if the occupation was lawfully created in self-defense, do you think that would still be true?
Not for the shit that they've been doing. They still have a right to resist. Every people has a right to resist occupation.
I don't believe that's the case if the occupation is lawfully created in self-defense. I also don't, do we think that it's possible for a non-state actor ever to trigger Article 51 of the UN Charter? Do you think it's possible that Hamas is capable of committing an armed attack in the Article 51 sense?
Hamas is capable of... Yeah.
Okay. So you think Israel is there a case conceivably where Israel could invoke Article 51 then? Like let's say Gaza wasn't occupied. Do you think Israel could invoke Article 51 for October 7th?
I think Israel could do a lot more if Gaza was not occupied. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
But ultimately Gaza is occupied. So.
Okay.
They lose a lot of rights when they do an occupation.
I think they have more responsibilities when they're an occupying force, and I think it differs if it's lawfully created in self-defense or not, which we, I guess, disagree on that. But what else do you?
Yeah. Let me see. Let me scroll through. Look what we haven't talked about. Do you think that October 7th was inevitable?
No, I think Palestinians had agency not to commit atrocities in the way that they did. I don't believe that like it's inevitable. I don't even think it's inevitable that Palestinians have the type of government that they do have that is, I believe, like fundamentally opposed to the existence of Israel. I don't think it's inevitable. No, just from poor conditions alone. No.
I mean, like, okay. Do you think that's some sort of violent resistance? So let's theoretically say that no civilians were harmed, or like maybe 20 civilians were harmed on October 7th. You think that something like that would be inevitable?
I mean, I think like in any case where you have, as poor conditions as people in Gaza, I think it's inevitable that there's some type of conflict there. I don't think it was inevitable for them to cross the border and even kill just militants if they had only killed militants.
So do you think that any resistance was inevitable?
I mean, I just gave you. I think it's inevitable that there be like some resistance within Gaza at the very least. Like if the IDF was doing operations within the Gaza Strip, like as they did in the smaller scale operations, and when they were mowing the lawn, resisting that, I believe would be
mowing the lawn, like killing 2,100 to 2,300 Palestinians.
I mean, if you want to talk about protective as in gaslit, I think I think the relative risk there is like over 100. I'm not convinced that those strikes were in any form like disproportionate or indiscriminate. But
I'm not even claiming that. I'm saying that a shit ton of people were killed.
Yeah, I think that's...
And whether or not it's anybody, you're still killing a shit ton of people. You're still removing the sons and daughters of many people, or mothers and fathers of many people. You're creating a situation where you're creating a people who hate whoever killed their son or daughter or mother or father.
Do you think there's ever a case where occupation can de-radicalize people?
Not in the way that this one is being carried out.
But if it was a nicer occupation,
like,
if it was a sweeter occupation,
right? Like in some senses, we de-radicalized Germany. I think we mostly de-radicalized Japan through occupation. And I also think that at every step of the way throughout those occupations, those people had a right to resist and had a right to fight back.
Okay, I mean, I guess
like a moral right. I mean, in this sense,
moral right, sure. I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is gonna come down to the history, unfortunately. Again, like I believe, if Israel's acting in self-defense in the like 6-day war or whatever, and they captured Gaza in the West Bank, I don't know how much I would entail a right to resist if, even morally speaking, if I believe Israel was in the right for doing this in the first place. I would only hold that like actions that I find immoral on Israel's side, for example, if the blockade is too strict or if they're building settlements, I would entail you have a right to resist those specific things, but morally, I don't know about legally, but
okay. I also wanted to ask you. So, I'm gonna give you 3 examples of people killed by the IDF. Okay. The first one is, or not, they're not necessarily all killed. Amato Sisson. He is an American citizen who was shot in the thigh by the IDF during a protest in the West Bank. Do you think that there is a scenario? This was a completely peaceful protest. It wasn't one of the fucking stone throwing ones, by the way.
sure.
Do you think that there should be words from the American government, at the very least, words for that action?
Yeah, presumably it was a completely peaceful protest, and yeah, absolutely, like we should, yeah.
Think there should be sanctions?
At least on the brigades who did it, probably. Actually, there should be sanctions on everyone in the fucking West Bank, but yeah.
Okay. Phase. Eisner Ezegi. What about her? Do you remember that story, or do I tell it?
Nope, don't remember it. You did.
She's a Turkish-American Seattleite. Went to University of Washington. That was killed in the West Bank, shot through the fucking forehead by the IDF at another protest with the same group that Amato Sisson was shot at. Do you think that the American
presumably
government...
I mean, if you keep giving me more people shot in the same protest, it's making me start to think maybe there was some violent shit going down. But yeah, if it really was like a truly peaceful protest, then like, yeah, obviously. And Israel should punish the soldiers, and I think Israel has failed to do so. So.
And what should we do if they fail to do so?
Probably condition aid on them actually successfully prosecuting the soldiers.
Okay, valid. Hind Rajab, what do you think should be done about that one?
Is this another guy?
What?
What guy?
Hind Rajab, the 6 or 7-year-old girl who called an ambulance in Gaza because she was in a car and her whole family had been killed. And then on the call, she was also killed.
I'm not. Well,
shot.
I'd have to know how she was killed. If she was like shot point blank, then that's probably immoral or whatever. But and unlawful. I don't know.
It was Israelis opening fire on the vehicle. That at this point, they had already opened fire once on. It was not moving. Everybody except her was dead in the vehicle, and they opened fire on the vehicle again.
I mean, here, it in like an actual like act of conflict, not just like a peaceful protest. It's more ambiguous to me, like what the intentions of Israel would be if they are like firing on a civilian car, because I don't know if they know it was a civilian car. I don't know if I don't know if they have intelligence falsely suggesting that this was a car that militants had used. It's more ambiguous.
So the first time they opened fire and left no one except this small child alive is not enough to say they shouldn't have opened fire again on this vehicle.
I mean, if they know there's a fucking child there, then they shouldn't be open firing. If they don't,
I don't. They're firing on.
I mean, you have to base it on what you can reasonably expect, right? Like you should have some level of confidence that what you're firing on is a lawful target.
Mm-hmm. So why
doesn't necessarily because they thought it was a lawful target or some IDF soldiers who were evil. Like, it's ambiguous there for me because I don't know it's in an active war zone and I don't know the full context. So.
Yeah, and you won't, because America has been paying lip service to demanding an investigation for a year, and Israel has said they're investigating for a year and released nothing, and has not suspended any of the soldiers, has not actually taken in for questioning any of the soldiers.
Yeah, I think that's probably...
suspicious they don't want to really investigate this?
I think Israel is schizophrenic, and for whatever reason, people get a really big boner for their soldiers in Israel because they're nationalistic, and they never want to prosecute any of their soldiers.
Okay. So, do you think that America should do anything about that one?
Well, I think we should, ideally, condition aid on Israel actually stopping settlements in the West Bank and Israel actually prosecuting their soldiers. And I don't know if the ICC would have jurisdiction over...
Yeah, the ICC has jurisdiction over everything in Gaza.
Everything in Gaza, so they...
And the West.
Actually, they probably would the West Bank too. If these actions occurred, like in Palestinian territory, the ICC would have jurisdiction. You're right. Yeah. So, I would not release the statements that we released condemning the ICC just for the warrants or whatever. But
okay, I think that you need to take a harder stance at a certain point, because this government that you're running circles around trying to defend is consistently doing this shit. As opposed to, and like, you're like, yeah, like, we should condition aid, we should do all this and that. Yet you're still, instead of, out and about calling for that, you're out and about saying, Israel, they had reasons for what they did.
Well, it depends on the bigger deal to me when it comes to Israel-Palestine, it's not that Israel doesn't prosecute its soldiers, it's that a lot of people, I'm not even necessarily saying you, have what I consider total moral blindness when it comes to the intentional targeting civilians versus the incidental loss of civilian life while defending yourself from people intentionally targeting civilians.
Both sides intentionally target.
There's the factual disagreement. But yeah,
was shot as a 6 or 7-year-old child, the only one alive in the vehicle, and then they opened fire on her vehicle.
I ran through with
15 bullets. In the call.
I ran through the it's ambiguous to me whether that represents an intentional targeting of the child.
Can I show you a video by any chance? Is that something I can do? Just to ask you if it's ambiguous as well.
Sure.
Yeah, give me 2 seconds to pull it up. It's one that I show decently regularly on my channel. I'm gonna have to add some context because the only thing I can find is a short on this, just quickly.
Okay.
But once I get this shared with you, can you see that? Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a child who was injured by an Israeli quadcopter. Okay.
Sure. I think I've seen this video. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we have this, and then if we wait a second, we have people coming to help. Obviously, as you do when you see a child injured, and then the airstrike drops on them all. So, do you think that this is ambiguous?
You're not going to like my answer? Absolutely, I think that could be ambiguous. I don't know.
How so?
I'm not a military tactics guy. I don't know. If they have fucking infrared cameras that it's not easy to tell whether it's a civilian or whether it's militants coming there. And if they have if they have intelligence suggesting that some of these people are militants, Like, yeah, absolutely, I could see a
Is
case
it
where that's ambiguous.
that they injured? I mean, sure, maybe I'll even accept that they didn't know it was a child. Okay. Is it ambiguous that they injured a person, in the middle of the road with a quadcopter, and then when people came to help, dropped an airstrike on it?
No, but what's ambiguous is the intent behind that.
What intent do you see?
I think it's plausible that the intent was just to kill Palestinians. I think it's probably more probable that they either had like bad intelligence suggesting that these were militants, or the whoever was piloting it and shooting it just didn't know enough didn't know that these were civilians.
Let me ask you a question. What would spark you to injure somebody in the middle of the street and then airstrike people that came to save that person?
If you thought that they were participating in hostilities.
The guy yelling for help in the middle of the road that's injured, he's not doing hostilities.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can tell that from a fucking like infrared camera 2,000 or 2 miles up in the sky. Like, I don't know.
Fifth grade logic, bro.
I don't know.
All it takes is fifth grade logic to tell that.
What? Okay. What do they use to strike this person? I don't even know. How high are they up? What type of like when I watch like black and white videos of the IDF conducting like airstrikes, I don't know whether these people are militants or not. I don't know if it would be possible to tell. And then I don't know like what information the person in the helicopter or plane is getting that, you know, could suggest that these are militants or not militants. But I think historically Israel has done a pretty good job at doing airstrikes relatively discriminately. And I think historically Israel does certain things like the warnings and like the humanitarian aid that make me
I love how you go back to these other examples when I show you a very clear example of not that. Like, this is not an ambiguous. There are ambiguous examples. I get that, but this is not an ambiguous example. And I also do want to still remind you, how much does that intent really matter? Again,
when it comes to the moral standing of the person doing it, it matters a lot.
Wait, shut the fuck up for 1 second. If I was trying to do target practice in my backyard and I missed and I shot the neighbor's kid next door, I would get in trouble for that. And validly so. That was reckless at the very least.
I think when it comes to
not reckless at the very least.
It's plausible that it's reckless, but I have to know more information. I don't know. Yeah, I like. Again, we're gonna get back to like there are things that are acceptable in a military context that are not acceptable in a context of like within a nation, you know, domestically between like law enforcement and people. I think there's the intent matters for the moral standing of the perpetrators. I think the intent matters because the intent is either like Israel's evil and genocidal in one case, or like Israel is not that in the other. That's what the intent changes everything there. Like,
okay, I'm talking about the moral standing of this pilot. How about that? The pilot that pulled the fucking trigger. Okay, does that pilot, on a moral level, do you think that pilot did the right thing?
I don't think it was net. I don't think what happened was net good. No, but I don't know if the intent of the pilot was like a dolus directus trying to kill this person, or like dolus indirectus like trying to kill a militant and knowing that you're going to kill these other people, or if it was just recklessness. But even if it was recklessness, I still would hold it's a net bad. I just think that I just want to conflate that to like a evil intention of Israel. Like,
I'm just asking on this pilot's sake. So if you were to see a video like this of 10 Israeli pilots, would you say that those 10 Israeli pilots are probably doing immoral things?
I don't think their actions are a net good. Obviously, if the end effect of them was to like kill innocent children or whatever without killing any militants, at least. But I don't know. Again, I don't want to like conflate this with like Israel, with saying Israel's intentionally targeting civilians.
I'm saying these 10 pilots.
Or these 10 pilots were intentionally targeting civilians. I don't know if they were intentionally targeting civilians or if they just had
I would
bad
say
intel.
It's immoral if I was trying to shoot a target in my backyard and I missed and I hit the neighbor's kid. That would be immoral of me. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so the actions of these pilots.
How many times did I say their actions are net bad here? Like,
no, I'm asking a very specific question. I said immoral. I didn't say net bad. I said
That's
immoral.
what I mean. Net bad implies immoral to me.
I
Yeah.
asked you a yes or no question, and you answered with about 30 words.
Okay, they're immoral. Like, what do you want me to like?
Okay. Good. So
there's obviously
at what point would at how many of these incidences would you need to say maybe the army is immoral?
Well, you would have to. How immoral? Like, no matter how many, I don't know how many. You would have to show the incidences. To me, don't prove that like the intention of Israel is to target civilians. So these incidents aren't going to make me.
What I'm saying is that at how many of these incidences, I'm not even saying that these are targeting of civilians, but how many of these instances would be needed to say that maybe this army is consistently doing immoral ass shit?
Consistently doing immoral shit. I don't know. Probably you'd have to, in a war like this, you probably have to show like 200 of them. I don't know.
Okay, and if I provided you 200 instances, would you then say that
200 videos of them shooting children with no militants around? Maybe, but I don't think you're going to be able to do that in a case where like it's not ambiguous as to if they thought that any of these people were militants or if they were aiming for, you know, a tunnel underground or any of those things.
We already addressed that doesn't matter. You said end result bad means immoral.
Sure, I think. Well, it's net utility, but yeah. The again, how immoral is the question. You're never gonna get me to these incidences are never gonna get to Israel's intentionally targeting civilians, and I think Israel on the whole, if Israel's actions are okay.
I've made it very clear. That's not what I'm trying to get at, or the point that I'm trying to make here. The point I'm trying to make is about the morality of the IDF. I
don't know if I would hold the IDF is like evil or whatever, unless again, the primary thing I'm concerned with is whether or not they're intentionally targeting civilians. I guess that like I just don't I wouldn't view the military immoral on the whole if there are incidences of just of like killing civilians because there's ambiguity over whether they're militants or not.
Is that not true?
I think I said 200, sure.
Yeah. So if I provided you with 200 videos, would you then say that the army is immoral?
200 videos of this? Yeah, I'd probably say
basically the same thing.
Probably. I'm not convinced that.
Okay, keep your Discord DMs open tomorrow. You get a Google Drive video.
Okay, good to know.
But by the way, this has happened more than 200 times. Just so you're aware.
Okay.
I know you're not gonna believe me, and I know you're not gonna look it up after the fact, but you know, maybe one of your little viewers will. Are you gonna keep that maid outfit on all night? Just by the way.
I don't know how long I'm gonna be streaming tonight because my friends are gonna bug me, but I'll keep it on for how long I stream. Yeah.
That's gay as fuck.
I don't want to hear it from Mr. Gays from Gaza over here. Okay. Do you not support?
Yeah, well, I'm actually gay, so.
My maid outfit. You don't know if I'm gay.
You look the part better than me.
Damn. Yeah, my chat said that you were more masculine than me earlier. So.
Seems pretty clear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I've asked you a lot of questions. Do you have anything you wanted to ask me?
I don't think so. Not right now, at least.
Not right now? Okay. My last question is, do you think that the Israeli actions have been collective punishment in the West Bank? Or in Gaza?
No. Not on the whole, no.
Punishing the entirety of the population for the actions of Hamas?
Only in the sense that like any war is going to entail some level of suffering on the entire civilian population. I don't think that falls into. I don't know the legal definition of collective punishment. Like,
right. It's. I mean, obviously, I'm putting it briefly, but it's punishing the entire population for the actions of either a group or.
I mean, there's always going to be bad effects on the civilian population from any war because of the actions of the civilian populations, like government or army, right? Like people in Ukraine have had to suffer, civilians in Ukraine have to suffer because of the actions of Russia and the Ukrainian military, or, you know, we'll say in the hypothetical, like the Ukraine provoked it or whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean that like Russia is collectively punishing the entirety of Ukraine's population.
Okay, let me give them more specific for you, right? So when that one, I think it was a general, said we're gonna cut off all food, water, fuel, and electricity from Gaza. Would you call that collective punishment? When taken into the context of these same Israeli officials have continuously said, well, the Palestinians could just hand over Hamas and then it'll be over.
I don't know. With that quote specifically, I don't know if I would say that entails collective punishment, just because my understanding of the context of like the complete seeds quote is that there were literally still like militants in Israel when that quote was said, and they wanted to like secure Gaza first before eventually letting aid in. So I don't know. I don't think that would classify it as collective punishment. No.
Is there anything they could have said that you would classify as collective punishment?
If Israel was explicitly like for, you know, because of the actions of Hamas saying like we want to punish civilians because we believe you're all like as bad as Hamas or whatever, I would classify that as sure collective punishment. I just don't think I just don't think that like just because the civilian population has suffered because of a war that like that entails collective punishment.
Wait, but is not explicitly saying that you're gonna cut off all of this shit from the civilians, calling them the children of the dark when you're the
I think
children
it's harder.
of the light.
I think it's
saying
harder
that
for.
This can all stop once they release the hostages. Talking to the Palestinian people, not
I don't know
Hamas.
I don't know if it's feasible to deliver aid to a territory that is currently invading your territory. Like, I don't know. I don't know how feasible that is. I think they probably want to like seal the border off because there's other militants currently like in Israel killing people that they probably want to.
So they had to seal the Egyptian one too.
My understanding is the complete siege quote was for northern Gaza. I don't know. I'm not familiar with every instance of sealing the Rafah crossing or whatever.
The Rafah crossing was effectively sealed on October 8th.
Well, yeah. Again, if there's militants literally in your,
as these statements.
if there's militants literally in your city, then yeah, it's probably important for you. It's probably lawful military objective to try to contain the border, and I don't know how feasible it is to deliver aid into an area.
Egyptian border?
Well, my understanding is that before like trucks with aid in them cross into Egypt, right? They go through an Israeli checkpoint in Israel, and then they're allowed to cross into Egypt and go to Rafah. I don't know if Israel has control over the over just closing the Rafah border. I'm not familiar with how that works.
They have control over closing to aid. And that's what they
Okay.
did instantly. Which is not somewhere that, like, you know, the Hamas guys were coming to attack Israel from.
Why again? It probably come to if you consider the entirety of like the border wall of Gaza a fucking lawful military objective, then I don't know. Like I'd probably say it's not feasible to deliver aid into Gaza while simultaneously people are coming from Gaza, even if not from the south.
So once all of Hamas were back in Gaza, would that then be the time that if
that they could let aid in? Yeah.
Aid was blocked? Okay, so that's what happened.
Well, I don't believe that Israel. I believe Israel has failed to adequately provide aid to the North sometimes, but I don't believe that on the whole, like there's been.
No, the beginning of this war, it was none, anywhere, for like.
For how many? For a week? I don't know.
Yeah, when they normally get 500 trucks a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how feasible it would have been to deliver aid in the first weeks.
Blocked off all aid from getting in.
Yeah, I don't know how feasible it is to deliver aid to Gaza in the first week of like military operations there. I don't even think Israel
so
invaded until. Well, we were discussing two different. We started on the complete siege of the north, right? And now we're just on to aid in general.
No, I said throughout that entire time that it was all of Gaza, right? And it was. The Rafah crossing was closed. No aid got
I'm just
in,
saying
even after Hamas were back into Gaza.
I'm just saying we started on the complete siege quote, which is only for northern Gaza, right? I'm not familiar. Did Israel cut off electricity? Did Israel cut off all of electricity from southern Gaza?
Pretty soon, yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that, but there are.
And then eventually, I think in line with the first ceasefire deal, they allowed basically like one fucking pipe of water into southern Gaza and one line of electricity into southern Gaza.
Okay.
Where you can only get either of those two things from one spot. Unless you got an extension cord through the Egyptian border, which did happen as well. Which was POG.
Like, fundamentally, it's always going to come down to, like, is it feasible to deliver aid into the territory? And I don't know.
Yeah, but they don't need to deliver it.
Or to facilitate, allow aid or whatever. Which, again, if you view the fence as a military objective.
What's not feasible for them to do, is my question.
It might not be feasible for them to, like, screen all aid coming in the first days of a military operation against a territory where you're trying to secure the border.
They have a military unit to do it.
I don't... Okay, I'm
Kogat didn't
familiar,
go in and
but
fight. Kogat still existed in its own fucking unit.
Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with Kogat. Yeah.
So why would it not be feasible?
I don't know. I don't because they for 100 different reasons. They might need those troops to do other things. I don't know. I'm not familiar with how those.
They didn't. Kogat didn't get a different assignment.
Okay,
Kogat,
so that
sure,
it could be the case that like they don't feel comfortable having any areas of the border open when they don't even know if the rest of the border is secure yet. Like,
I don't feel comfortable having any areas of the American-Mexican border open, so actually I'm gonna, completely block off any food from getting into Mexico from any direction.
If we were in direct hostilities with Mexico, and Mexico had an organization trying to destroy the United States of America in its entirety, then, like, there could be a case to be made that it would be lawful again to do these things. But
to do it, 'cause that's pretty much Trump's claim.
I mean, I don't think Trump's case is I don't seriously believe that, like, Trump in good faith believe these organizations are like terrorist organizations. I think he just thinks that it'll be useful for him to do that, to classify them as that, to do deportations. But
see, there's only one way America deals with terrorists. So. Foreign terrorists, that is. But anyways, you're very heavily in denial, but I will let you in your maid costume unless you have anything else that you or your chat wants to ask me. I'll let you go be gay with your
with my gay buddies.
Chat.
I don't know. I mean, we can keep talking later on. I think you still have stream room perms to join whenever. So
I'll just come trash your stream randomly.
Based.
Just to me randomly pop in.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Not when I'm on Twitch. No.
Damn it. Do you stream on? You do stream on Kick.
Yeah, I stream on Kick and YouTube and Rumble, and yeah.
How do you stream on YouTube, bro? I streamed on YouTube for a while, and I swear, like every other stream, I got a strike on.
I like the only thing I get strikes on is when I react to Jubilee shit. I don't have background music or anything.
Neither do I. I used to get strikes like fucking 30 minutes into my streams, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it.
Fuck
YouTube.
All right.
Okay, well, I will let you go.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it.
You're wrong.
Accurate.
Also.
Even more accurate. Corresponds to reality.
Okay. Goodbye. Have a good night.
You too. Appreciate it. Damn. What do you think my friends have done in Raft while I've been gone? Homos. Thanks, PPG. And Gorps was right about everything. Nice one. What the fuck? This is not where we were last time. Aw, who broke our... Aw, they're not protecting our fucking Raft from the shark. Tell him to check... I'm not gonna tell him to check his pager. Long time no see. Not fun on Gorps, Zero. So real. Kona, welcome to the stream. What the fuck? this game? Minecraft on Raft. Yeah, well, the game is just called Raft. It's somewhat similar to Minecraft, I guess.
Yeah.
You guys are not. What the fuck is this thing that you gave me? Zipline tool?
Hey, hey! Am I shark?
The shark is eating everything.
But where's the raft right now?
I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah, but are you guys in it?
Yes.
Dude,
Okay, well, sail it over here. Hurry the fuck up.
I'm blowing this whole raft up.
Masad paid me
There's no way,
1,500 per debate.
I'm swimming to it. Fuck you.
He don't listen to you.
The shark ate one of our engines,
Oh.
Yeah, man.
so we're not moving ever. Actually,
Oh my, I'm fucking swimming to it.
That's fucked up.
you know, I was at it, and I could have went into the whole thing, but I came back to bring the boat over, and now you're doing the whole thing.
The shark ate everything, man.
You did. Yeah, the shark did let.
Oh
eat
my
the engine.
god, every single fucking plank around these nets is gone.
Well,
Bro,
the shark was really hungry that day.
it probably ate some nets too. My nets.
Yeah, he was really hungry.
Can you guys break a bunch of these platforms so the boat can move?
What's wrong with the platforms?
Look
Also,
at
when did
this
we
guy.
get...
We're leaving him. Break everything, and we're sending the raft away.
I'm waiting for the most part.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
We're getting the achievements and the dialogue, man.
Why is you at a third
Get
floor?
over here.
Yeah, get over there. It's done
I'm not-
already, but get over here.
It's not done, bro. I hit E on a paper.
These are some cool paintings.
We need
With
those.
pillars going through them. Oh, and then you can't walk through them? Okay.
You're welcome. Jared, did you know that there's leaves inside this city and you can make all the rope you want?
Leaves.
There are.
Oh, I'm gonna starve.
Oh, you can research
I
water.
don't know
Jared.
where I put all my stuff.
wonder
Where my
where
Where's
hook
the
the
goes.
boat at, dude?
The boat's
Nets.
not moving.
This
Why
guy
is
is
the boat
actually
not
has
moving?
short-term memory loss, dude. Oh my
Okay.
god.
But like, how have you not got it fixed yet,
How have you not found 5 iron and built a new engine yet?
dude?
He broke it.
Can you not just use the sails?
No.
No, we're too
They
big.
don't. They follow the wind, and the wind don't go to the other around the whole dome.
I'm gonna starve on the fucking boat.
Good.
I'm doing it then.
I'm not
Fuck
helping you.
I'm doing it.
What was in this dome? Wait, did we already do everything at the dome?
A little bit.
By we, I mean you guys.
You were there.
You were sleeping.
Sorry, guys. I was real sleepy.
Zach died, and it was about 20 minutes of me lugging him around the dome until we could find a way back.
Did someone take my hook and my...
I hope to God there is food in here. There's not food. I'm gonna kill myself.
Where'd my hook go?
This thing's empty.
Okay, I'm actually gonna go back in the dome, and then
These people stole my hook.
Who's this? Yeah, man.
What?
You come flying in here, but without either of them.
Well, we can't move the raft, and you said you're doing it anyway.
Oh, hey. Do you have any food?
Do we have blanks?
I don't.
You
No,
how do
we
you not
don't.
have food?
not much.
I ate it.
Could you not have brought food?
No.
I'm gonna go. And
Dude.
Jared, turn on friendly fire. Jared, turn it on. Turn on friendly fire.
You acted like I'm the stupid one, man. You heard me saying I need food.
You guys
You
think I
don't
want
bring
a bottle
either of
too?
them over here with you.
Oh my god, goat!
Really?
We do have a
What happens if I drop him in the
Whose
water?
gonna play is that?
Bye-bye.
What happens if I... Oh,
We're going to
I'm gonna feed
Varuga
him to the
Point
shark.
without you.
Dude, I'm gonna die.
So, like, what's
I'm
happening?
gonna dehydrate to
Yeah.
death because I don't have a fucking water bottle, man.
You need a new engine.
Where'd my water bottle go?
You died like 4 times, man.
It should, okay. I put all my stuff in the fucking chest before I got
Well,
off.
I don't know. Someone might have
And
2
that's
water
why
bottles.
the fucking shark was eating the shit, because he came... Oh, we went to sleep and he came back.
Trolled.
You can't leave. I mean, we can go wherever the sales go. That's about it.
Dude. We should have this shit there to make it. You need 5
We do
metal,
not
right?
have 5 iron.
Is it metal or iron?
Iron.
Where the fuck you get iron at?
Islands. Have you played
Oh
this
my
game before?
God, dude.
Well, going back in the dome and getting a bunch of trees.
I'm starving to
Can you
death.
bring food? Or actually, I don't think you're gonna make it in time.
Okay, what
I
was
might
it?
find food
What
though.
was in the cap? What was in the top of the dome?
Do we have any money?
I don't know because
Oh my fucking god! He spent all of the dude. He spent all the money. I can't buy food.
We have no food on this raft.
Go fishing.
I don't want to fish.
You don't eat food anyway. What are you talking about?
Fucking god,
You haven't eaten
man.
one thing of food this entire time.
That's not true. I eat sometimes. When
Kyle,
I
can you
might
come
is
get me?
Taking up my inventory space.
I'm dead at the statue.
Oh, good lord.
You got this, bro.
What statue?
The bronze statue in the middle, out in front of the big tower.
LeBron.
Kind of where we entered from initially.
The bronze statue.
LeBron.
Yeah, man. Good one.
The bronze James.
The bronze James.
Ah, I got the scrap metal duck. Let's fucking go.
Dude.
Let's fucking go. Look at this shit. What
Hey,
the
bro.
fuck?
Yeah, man.
Ow. Me and Kai have been fishing and we haven't got anything like that.
You
know
fucking
what I
suck.
got from... Come over here. I'll show you what I got from fishing.
I'm gonna starve to death before I get there.
I
No,
don't
you're
know.
good.
Wait, what did he get?
You got a duck.
Duck.
Like a rubber
Scrap
duck?
metal duck.
See these 2 red shoes?
Yeah.
That's from fishing.
I'm gonna
You can
catch red
plant
shoes.
you can plant beets in them.
Oh,
What the fuck
useful.
are you doing?
Oh, we're moving.
Yeah, man.
No, we're not.
Oh, it looked like it. Never mind. It was just waves. Me when I lie.
The anchor's still down. We can't move.
Alright, I swim all the way back.
Do we need the blueprints?
I don't think so.
Okay, then.
Oops.
In
So
my
what the fuck?
solo game, I picked one up, but it fell on the floor because my inventory was full. And when I came back to pick it up, it was despawned.
Large
But I can still
storage
make
water
it,
tank.
So
Okay.
we could empty the blueprint chest and throw all the junk in the ocean.
Can I catch the shark?
Why are the blueprints? Why are they junk?
Because you pick them up once and you learn them forever.
Oh.
I need food.
Go fishing.
Welcome
Okay,
to the
where
club,
is the
buddy.
fish though?
Large storage
Oh, yeah,
unlocked.
pretty good.
It's a,
Hiya, we unlocked large. We're not making large storage. I don't know what to tell you. 4 titanium ingots for 1.
yeah.
We can make one.
I'm fine with these.
Can you close that for a second?
There. I need to cook this.
Okay.
On the ground.
God damn it.
Oh, lucky cat! Where's your duck?
Yeah, man.
I'm dead.
Needs a
I died.
friend.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh, he needs to see this.
Here,
So
let
really,
them, one of them
okay.
do it. I'm gonna start.
Dude, they've been playing this whole time, man.
I can't find it. You
I had
guys
the game
moved it.
open
You
in the
didn't move it.
background,
You left
and
one
I
of
was
them
just
there.
dead
It's Jade
and
was
sleeping.
Check this out. Come to the duck.
You've
The
got
dog.
hunger. Fuck off.
I know, I just died. I'm fine.
Yeah, man.
No!
See the waving cat?
Yeah.
Fuck this waving cat.
I'm
Not as
caught
cool as
that
my
for
duck.
fishing.
Fuck
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Can I go in the dome and
Wait,
finish
did
my
he
act before we
actually?
leave, just to get
Sure.
likes?
Go.
Wait, take this one that has
You might
like
as
2
well-
hits on it.
You might as well go and
Oh,
like
yeah, I'll
fucking.
take all your fucking axes while you guys fish.
It's sinking.
Something.
it's in there. It follows the water.
It's just not like a huge like conflict of interest thing. You can gift shares of your company to your advisor. This seems unhinged. Some places call it corruption. Of course, MAGA won't. Yeah, I know. This seems. They have a pay value more than 779,000. Damn. Oh, it has restrictions on when it can be sold. This just seems unhinged. Armin kept. Is RFK going to be confirmed? Do we know yet? Have any senators said anything different since the hearing started? But Cassidy did not yet give a yes on Thursday. Chairman of the Health Committee and a doctor serves on the Senate Finance Committee. The panel will determine whether Mr. Kenny's nomination moves forward to the Senate floor. Oh, so he might not even get to the Senate floor? Seems unhinged. Real quick on there, and I don't know if we're gonna read shit today, but I have a lot of bookmarks to sort through, and I gotta figure out how to organize my notes better. Oh Jesus! Literally gonna find a way through to really cover these people are actually evil. Apparently, fucking Lee, dude. Performed a bunch of IDF shit, and then I. We'll add this shit. Evicted from New York. Oh yeah, I saw this as well. They're gonna be replaced with fucking OAN, bro. Let's go. Let's go, man. The most reliable media network. Thank God. Oh my god, why the fuck is there so much fucking shit that people talk about? Hold on, I gotta...
Until then.
Do we have a single potato?
No.
We literally did. There is a potato here somewhere, I know, because I fucking left it here.
Someone might have ate it.
Oh my fucking god. Fuck you.
I'm growing beets.
No, my lord.
I love beets.
Beets?
Jared,
How do I put
would you happen to have a large amount of leaf in your inventory right now?
Large amounts of leaf I turned into rope my inventory?
Yes, Jared, that is what I'm talking about.
I have some. I'm putting it in this chest.
No, not that chest.
Where?
Hunt.
Where? Hold on, where?
I don't know what chest is the leaf chest. There's a what you guys don't even fucking do you have leaves in inventory? Would you have chest full of leaves? Can we get chest labeling mod?
I need some of the rope you made.
I'm gonna start to the I am gonna dehydrate to death. I don't have a bottle still.
Dude, fucking here, Jared. Take that, man. Right there, take that. Jared, right here.
I put it in a chest and someone took it. I don't know where right. The
Jared, right here.
desync thing. It's not
Jared,
here, man.
Jared. Right there. Right there, man. Look.
There's
right
no
fucking
where
there.
it's right. Do you mean in the chest or do you mean
on the
ground?
floor right in front of you?
Ain't nothing on the ground over
There's
here.
nothing over here.
Here, look. Okay, come here then. Come here.
Put it in a chest, dude.
Go where you put it.
Right there.
There's nothing there.
Oh, it's
Okay,
in the
fine.
water. Oh, well.
I already picked it up. It's in this chest here. Drink it for the love of God.
No, I'm not dehydrating now. I'm starving.
Dude.
You guys killed this bird.
Don't worry, I'll just
My
eat
machete.
the raw fish.
How are you even gonna say I'm not dehydrated and still fucking take it, dude? Like what the fuck?
Well, you see, I'm starving to death, and when I eat the raw fish, I start dehydrating. So then I need the water again.
Oh, I don't even want it, but fucking eats it like right in front of me.
No, I need the bottle, because I don't have a bottle because someone stole my bottle.
I don't even know who.
Baby lost his bottle.
Okay,
For
well
real.
that makes it pretty clear who stole it. I wonder who stole it.
Wait, guys.
Taking
we
this
have
catfish.
Do you think if we just put 4 beetroots, we can make vegetable soup?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't even know how you put stuff in the pot.
You put it on these pieces of
Oh.
paper.
Well, we'll find out.
Guys, I'm not slow for once.
Because vegetable soup gives us over hunger if we eat it. I think, if it's good enough.
Can I have it?
We don't have any.
Yeah, but when you make it, I should get first priority. We have a piano.
We have a piano. Play us a little tune, why don't you?
My game is muted. I can't hear what I'm playing.
Well,
How do
Ray
I-
Charles couldn't hear what he was playing either, but he knew.
How do I get up? There we go. Why did you put a fucking pillar down?
Because we're making a 3rd floor.
This is
Okay, well, we can't make a floor there.
okay. Cool. You just gotta
We'll fix it
parkour a little
later,
bit.
man.
The piano's there. Are we done here? Are we getting more wood?
Yes,
or are
we have
leaving?
been done.
Is there wood there? I need wood for
Yeah,
nets.
you want to go? If you want to go get wood, be my guest.
I don't
I'm
want to
already
get
out of
wood. I don't have anything to get wood with.
We're going right into it.
Oh my god.
My beautiful nets are they're all
There it
exposed.
We're going this way.
This is the worst direction.
Well,
No,
we
it's
can't go any
fine.
other direction.
Fuck you.
Make a new engine then.
That's a lot of work. I don't have nothing to do that. I'm starving again.
How do I get up? Oh,
Piano.
I'm dying. I'm real hungry and dying. Need to fish.
Me all the time.
Dude, took every fucking bit of fish we had.
Dude, I took 3.
It's all gone.
But it was them two that did the rest of it, because I took 3.
I took 1 catfish.
I took all the fish that I caught and put on the grill and used my wood to cook.
It's like, what happens if I throw this goat in the ocean?
He's lying as fuck.
I'm not.
He's lying.
I put other fish in the other thing.
No one answers my question. I'm just, like, what happens if I just like? What happens if I trap him under the boat? Well,
Then
you
he
don't
would
know what
die.
happens. Do you know that?
But I
I
got
can
a pretty
change
good
his name.
idea.
Why is his name Dickhead?
Because we named him that. You got a problem with it?
This seems like an odd name.
Man.
I was gonna name him Piece of Shit Dickhead, but there wasn't
Dude, he was running around for like, I don't even know, like a good 2 minutes trying to catch that thing, and all he needed to do was shoot it.
I had one shot, man. I was gonna make
You
it.
could have just ran up to it and shot it, but you're like sitting there like crouching, chasing it around like it's not gonna hear you coming.
I would have never heard the end of it if I would have missed.
Dude, I wouldn't have fucking cared, honestly. We just would have gone back and got another.
You always care. You say you don't, but you care.
Well, I don't care within like a couple of minutes, but I probably would have called you stupid, so sure.
Josh, where's the painting you bought?
In my inventory.
You gotta
You
put it on
bought
the
a
art
painting?
gallery.
No,
What do you mean no?
because it don't look the best. Mainly owing to the fact that there's a fucking wooden plank going straight through every painting.
So it's part of the art gallery.
Why don't you can just put a? Can you just put a wall down on one of the rounds?
Yeah,
and
we
just
could
put all
literally
the-
just put a wall down, and we could put them all on that wall.
Wood.
Okay, well you used wood. Well, actually, no, you didn't. So
Which way's
Make
the
a
wind
wall.
blowing? We're gonna go the way the wind's blowing.
Guys, we're away from the dome now. The dome's gone.
No, the dome. Zach, that's where we have to go.
It's not. We can't go where we have to go, I don't think. Unless the wind can push us there.
Do we-
all right, Zach. Look, new art gallery just for you. Here's your walls. Put them on these walls.
0770.
There is no stuff spawning.
Yeah, I'm noticing that as well.
Alright, guys. The wind might actually be able to get us there. Very slowly.
This leaf is fake. You can't pick this leaf up. Oh,
Did
incredible.
you not? How many did you buy?
4. Or no. Well, in total, we bought 4 of the 5. We couldn't get the last one.
Okay, because we have 4 right now. You got 3 and I got 1.
Yeah, we couldn't get the last one. No more tokens. They
Okay,
were all
then.
spent on the piano.
What the fuck did you just do, Josh? In my screen, it looks like you used your hook as a fucking grappling hook.
He bought
I
the
did,
grappling hook
Ninja.
upgrade.
Oh,
Yep.
it's cooked beets we have to put in the cooking pot.
That's not what's on the picture.
That is what's on the picture. You just gotta look real close.
No, it ain't. That's a raw potato.
Well, the raw potato maybe, but the
Free
but
stuff.
The beets have tiny black lines on them.
We can make the head broth.
This game is broken.
Cool.
If we get a chicken. If there's a way to make mushrooms renewable, what is this blue thing?
I don't know.
There's a little boat over there.
Uh-oh, I'm drowning. I'm drowning. No, the shark. Why can't I put nets here? No. I still can't put nets here. I can't put nets anywhere.
There's no floor.
That's
There's no
it should
platform.
be.
There's no foundation to put them on.
Oh, I guess if the foundations break, they don't break as well, I guess. But that makes sense.
You know
I
how
can't make
useless
floors.
this line of nets you have here is, Jared?
If we're going the direction...
We're never going sideways.
This is where we... This outsiders, this is forwards. This is where the raft started.
It is not forwards.
This is forwards.
It is not
We're always
forwards.
going sideways. Mr. Mayor, dude. Bitch Mayor.
This is forward. Where all the stuff is coming from.
This is not forward. This is forward. I started making this line of nets when this was forward because this was the first forward.
Well, it ain't forward now, so they're useless.
It is forward. It's the first forward. It will always be forward. You are steering the ship sideways,
Okay.
mister.
Well, then remove the stuff from the side of the ship.
I wish I had a gun. I would shoot you both right now.
Fuck you,
See
dude.
this hat I have on, Jared?
I would shoot you with a blunt.
I do
I'm
see
the
that
mayor
hat.
of this ship.
Yes.
This is for
Zach,
the
you see what I got on right
This
now,
is
buddy?
forward.
You see what I got right now? I am the captain of this
Captain
ship.
the ship. Captain
What
the ship in
Jared
the next
said is
area.
right. What Jared says right.
I'm a bear.
Yep, the bear's right.
If you don't make this ship go the right direction, I am throwing this goat off of the ship.
I didn't catch the goat.
I am feeding
I
him
have
to
no
the
idea.
shark.
Kyle with that one. That's Kyle's goat.
I am really curious what happens if you throw him off the boat, but I don't
Please
want to
don't,
test it
man.
because I feel like he
The
might
whole-
just
like,
be
the whole
gone.
thing we got to do now is get more animals. And he
So-
gives us
You need a
milk.
llama.
The cooked beets is not what the cooking pot wants.
Oh my lord, dude.
Can I put goats in the cooking pot?
Do you have... Are there any more beets?
Claw.
Yeah, here. Let me see. Oh, really?
Yummy. Put 'em in the
Oh, his
chest.
name tag actually says dickhead. That's cool.
What else would it say?
Well, I didn't
Goat.
know that.
Guys, the cooking pot
True.
needs planks.
What is that?
What is this?
No.
Plastic.
Someone littered.
Who is
Yeah.
littering?
Guys, the
Who is
cooking pot
littering?
needs-
There's more relief.
What is happening?
Why are there so many boxes?
What is happening? Who keeps dropping one palm leaf?
Do you guys see this hook on the ground over here?
Dude, the net's turning them into boxes. Oh, 'cause
Cool.
it's a fake net. That's why. You can't place it there.
It's like, do you see this hook on the ground over here?
Yeah, that Kaio threw that and then he got kicked and it's still there.
Yeah, so something happened with it. It completely froze my game. I couldn't move. I couldn't open the menu. I couldn't switch off of it. And then I alt F4'd.
It's still on the
Nice one. Can I pick it up? I
Not
need
there for
it.
me, coincidentally.
I mean, it's over here for me.
Yeah, I don't see
It's
it.
pushing me away from it when I walk on top of it. Do you have wood, Kaio? Because we can't use this cooking pot without wood.
I have a little bit.
Why does everything in this game need wood?
Yeah, I'm thinking we need a.
Start cooking.
You can make vegetable soup.
Can we
need
make more
bowls.
tree farms?
That would be stupid. I think The fact that no one bothers to replant my tree, the one we do have, when it's empty.
Nah.
Okay, whoever breaks it should be the one that replants it.
I ain't never broken it.
Because I've only ever broken it like twice, and I replanted it both times.
Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Make me.
Well, then who's doing it? Because it was like that even when it was us three and not Jared.
It's
I haven't been here.
I don't be fucking with the tree.
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I bet it's me when it's my tree and I'm the only one that's hardly ever cuts it down.
Seems like it to me through process of elimination.
Process of elimination. It's clearly you.
The net. I'm fishing, Jared.
Meal.
The net.
What do you mean the net?
We lost the net. Shark got the net.
Okay. I lost my spear too. I don't know where that went. Someone took that too. Through process of elimination, it was Zach who took it.
One thing of yours, but I don't remember what I took. I think I took your. I took your hook. I think.
Oh yeah, your spear with 2 durability. Yeah,
I needed that. Why would you take it, Zach? I'm starving, by the way. Don't worry, I'll eat
Okay.
raw.
Do you want
Well, yeah, I can
vegetable
cook it.
soup?
Nah.
Okay.
Man. Oh, I'm stuck in his net now.
Are you serious, dude? It made 1 bowl.
Now I'm stuck in this paddle thing.
Can I give it to the goat?
On a star before the fish are done?
Well, I'm holding this bowl of soup.
There's cooked beetroot.
No, I hate soup.
Small chest. Jared.
Sorry, I'm vegetarian.
You don't get the bowl back either. That's awesome.
Cool.
Jared, the small containers next to the grill have food, finished food in them.
That ain't finished.
The left one.
Well, cooked beets.
Well, the beets are used to make vegetable stew. I'll just eat the tuna that I made.
Well,
No, not when they're cooked. They're cooked.
beets on the table.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
If you kill the seagull, you actually get free food.
If you kill the shark, you get a lot of free food. I'm killing the shark.
Okay, well, the seagull dies in 1 hit.
Nope. I don't have a spear, so I can't actually kill this shark.
Shoot it. The shark. Right.
He's running away.
So what do you mean shoot it? I don't have a fucking gun. Do you have a gun?
I have a bow and arrow.
Oh, I guess I don't have arrows for it, but I do have a bow.
There you are.
You're scaring the fish away.
I'm killing the shark. Fuck you. Where's he at? There he is. Hey, buddy.
You think the shark will eat the goat?
Maybe.
The shark's eating me.
Ow, you're
My
on the
fishing
ground.
rod broke.
Awesome.
Where the fuck are we going?
The next place, or
The
as far
city.
as the sails will take us,
The big
Yeah,
city.
it's gonna be a long one.
or until an island comes up that we can get to for the iron.
The big city.
I don't know what the next place is.
It'll be the
Dude, I
city.
don't
You
know about
watch.
the big city.
The dome
Nah, you
was the end of
watch.
the game, and then they made more game.
Alright, predictably, you guys are not interested in Raft gameplay, okay? But I'm playing fucking Raft, okay? So I'll probably just end stream here then. I need to figure out. I might just make a separate gaming channel at one point. I don't know. I have one on YouTube, but I haven't really used it. I don't know if my audience is big enough to like promote the gaming shit too. But we'll see. Okay, well, I'll stream and love you guys watch your stream. I gotta play Raft with my buddies now. With my buddies, okay? So head over to fucking... I'm gonna raid Hassan. Relevant, probably. Barrel. All right. See you guys. Appreciate it.